Okay, we are live. And, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is episode number 19. Not number 19, episode number 11 of the J Money Talks podcast. It is, I believe it is episode 11, correct? Let me see here. Episode 11. Yes, here it is episode number 11 of the J Money Talks podcast. And it is September the 19th, 2020. And we're back live with the J Money Talks podcast. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Jason Johnson, also known as J Money. And welcome back to another episode of the podcast. And it's been gone for over a week. And you're probably asking, like, it was just where I've been or wherever. I'm like, it's okay. Don't worry, y'all. I just had to take a little break for myself, just take a break. Also, last week was, of course, the start of football season, not just in the college level, but also in the pro level as well, especially University of Louisville had their first game against Western Kentucky University. And that was that Saturday, on Saturday night. And also my Baltimore Ravens once again came back and looked like goddamn contenders again. Looks like Super Bowl contenders. They didn't look like a team. Looked like a team that didn't look like they were rusty. They usually, most games, like I say, show usually a lot of people have been saying that some of these guys could have rust on them. Baltimore came out saying, "No sir, not us." Pretty much came out and just said, "No sir, not us," and stomped a mud hole in Cleveland's ass, in the Cleveland Browns' ass, 38-6. Same thing with University of Louisville. They end up winning their game, I believe, 35-14, and which was after they made a mistake and ended up giving the ball to losing the lead for just a slight bit to the 35-21. But the biggest thing was, it was on the back of Malik Cunningham throwing for free touchdowns, 343 yards and 3 touchdowns, and ran one in for himself. And I think it's a big thing. They were actually but other than that, they ended up scoring basically it was 21 points in the second half. In the second quarter, and alone, which pretty much helped seal the game for them. Now, this week, today, they are going to be taking on the Miami Hurricanes, who are now the 17th ranked, and University of Louisville is also 18th ranked, and this is an early season big matchup. This is the first thing that is interesting. This is the first time the Louisville is coming for revenge after Miami. They pretty much drill the Cards in 55-27 out of Miami. This is a big one. So this one is a big one because a good chunk of them, the Hurricanes are out a little bit. Is going to be what they were out a little bit was the loss of some players by graduating, some going to the NFL, and others deciding to opt out because of the corona, because of Verona. One of them is for Miami. It is their leading rusher in DJ Dallas, their leading receiver in KJ Osborne, their leading tackler Shaq Quarterman, their best cornerback Trajan Bandy, and their leader in sacks, who is Greg Rousseau with 15.5 sacks. Jesus. But the big thing is they are coming in with a quarterback by the electric duo Fred quarterback who is named Derek Keen, who is a graduate transfer from the University of Houston. He is currently has an active NCAA record streak of 16 consecutive games with at least one TD pass and one TD run. Their new Miami's coming in with a new offensive coordinator in Rhett Lashley, who is a player who is a coach who tends not to allow much time for the defense to substitute. So it is a big thing. It's an offense that happens to just go in. That once the offense is on the field, you better make your switches quick because they pretty much kind of go with like more of a no huddle type of thing, which makes more sense. So I can see how that is. It makes perfect sense. Basically, this one is to show. So I think the big thing was the big. Sorry, I'm just tired here. It's a little late. So it's 1:30 in the morning. So I don't know why I'm talking a little quiet. Let me move this up a bit. Let me see if you guys can hear me better now. I think you guys can hear me a bit better now. I'm not as quiet. But yeah, the big thing is their best rusher is Cameron Harris, and but also another contributor to the running game is Derek Keen, and a dynamic freshman in Jalen Knighton and Don Janney Jr. in their game last week against UAB. Cameron Harris having 134 yards, averaged 7.9 yards a carry. Derek Keen with 83 yards, Knighton with 59, and Janney Jr. is 52. So among those three, they average well over 6 yards a carry. So it is that's a huge. So they're pretty much go on a fast running game, and which kind of opens up the passing route, which ends up doing pretty good. So it looks like the key is probably running. So it looks like there is a big thing about this, and that's going to be the big thing about this. And it looks like this is going to be the team that is going to be a big thing. It looks like the rushing game is the question? Is the rushing game being the question for Miami, and Louisville is going to be countering it with a great passing game, especially last game against WKU. Louisville had 4 plays with Cards had 4 plays with more than 40 yards against WKU, and Mikael Cunningham Jr. quarterback, he is completed 19 of 34 passes for 343 yards. He decent in 1 reception last week against WKU, and among them was pretty much by their top receiver, Tutu Atwell, who is one of the most elusive receivers in the nation. He had a team high 77 catches for 78 yards, while his teammates Des Fitzpatrick and Braden Smith each had 110 yards in receptions, and taking advantage of the extra attention paid by WKU on Atwell, which of course is a big deal. Last year, Atwell did take Miami to Cinnabar Island, burn them for 6 catches and 142 yards, one of them being an 80-yard bomb. In contrast, Miami does have a strong pass rush. Actually, doesn't have the best cornerback game as shown. They're kind of relying on their second string and third string, as their top cornerback decided to, opt out because of Corona. So it is a big thing that could open up the Louisville passing game. This may be a case that Louisville could have a good chance of getting back into this game. Now, the Hurricanes is returning, has an All-American tight end by the name of Brevin Jordan, who actually missed last season's game against the Cards in Miami due to injury. Now he is healthy, so this might make a difference. This one is a big. This one is the big game. This is like the kind of a game of the week. Right now, they actually have Louisville at it's in Louisville. It's in Cardinal Stadium. This one's on ABC 7:30 tonight. Their college game days here in Louisville. Unfortunately, they're not having fans because one of the big things that is concerning about this whole thing is, well, not just because of the virus, it's also because they believe because of the whole Breonna Taylor thing, it might cause a little stir, and I'm like, I kind of go bullshit on it. I mean, personally, to me, I mean, I can understand that, but come on, you know it's kind of bullshit. You know it. People know it is. But the big thing is that is the big thing for football. I think Louisville could win this one. They are actually the 2.5 point favorites. I think it is going to be a win for Louisville, but I think it's probably going to be by a field goal or a touchdown. It's going to be a one-score game, one possession game. It's not going to be a close. It's not going to be a blowout. In case I think both teams are capable of countering each other, and I think it's going to be a win for the Cardinals. They could walk out with a top 25 win under belts, which actually helps them out, and that gives us one step closer to like maybe going up against Clemson in the ACC title. And might get some eyes on when we get the playoffs. If Louisville does well enough, they could and maybe beat Clemson in the ACC title game. They could actually make some noise and make some playoffs. They could make playoffs. Who knows? Yeah. The next big thing is, I know a lot of you are asking, like, why am I talking about a lot of this stuff, like sports and stuff? This isn't a sports podcast by any means, but there is something I kind of want to talk about some sports because some stuff about sports came out this week. Also football, NFL football. The next thing is, now let's move on to college basketball. This is a big one, especially this one's for U of L. U of L is planning to do a non-conference bubble between November the 25th and December the 5th. It is pretty much, according to Chris Mack's tweet, the Louisville Cardinals are looking for 8 to 12 teams to play, 3 to 5 games during that time span. Teams would stay for free at a local hotel, sources according to the local sources that told ESPN. And while testing costs will be split evenly among the teams participating, the expectation is the field is going to be filled with mostly local teams that can bus to Louisville. That's what the Zoom call is. Bellarmine is one of the potential schools, which makes sense. The next other schools within driving distance: Eastern Kentucky, Western Kentucky, Miami of Ohio, Ohio University, and Cincinnati, among others. Which I say is a big thing because one of the things is that the NCAA's Division I Council announced this Wednesday that the season start date for college basketball will be delayed until November 25th, while the men's and women's committees recommended that each school play at least 4 non-conference games. The Big Sky, West Coast Conference, Western Athletic Conference, the Big West, and the Mountain West are all having conversations in recent weeks forming a non-conference men's bubble in Vegas, which is actually a good move. Now, I say that this is a thing that might be a thing that's going to happen. There is a lot of teams are trying to have their own, like, I think this is probably what is going to happen because a lot of schools might do bubbles, like their own like in-state bubbles, which actually in-state bubbles are like their own or like small regional bubbles, which I kind of like. Non-conference wise, it makes perfect sense. And then I think eventually they'll do something for conference play. I don't know how it's gonna be. Non-conference wise, it makes sense. Plus, it kind of gives a good chance. I like this because you can actually do a lot of good stuff with a lot of this stuff. Actually, is a good benefit to it because it gives more potential to us. Because a lot of schools, Bellarmine University is a private university which is here in Louisville. It's it's actually right around. Let's see, because I live like free. I say about 5. I live actually like 10-15 minutes away from it. It's a nice small private university. They just the basketball program just got into Division One. They're competing in the Atlantic Sun Conference. That is a good chance of them getting like their first chance of like true exposure this year, which helps them out because they'll be playing against Eastern, Western, and a bunch of other schools. That helps out a lot for Bellarmine. I know for Eastern it helps out a bunch. I think Western supports it a lot because of Conference USA. They also get to play against topper, like good elite teams. Cincinnati being in this could bring back some rivalries. I don't know if, because I don't think, is Mick Cronin still with Cincinnati actually? Let me see. Is Mick Cronin actually still with Cincinnati by chance? If Mick Cronin is still there, that kind of helps a little bit with yeah. Let me see. Oh yeah, he went to I forgot he's in UCLA now. So who's the coach for Cincinnati? Okay, let me see. Cincinnati, John Brandon. Oh, okay. So I'm like, so I guess that's like, I guess they just, I don't know, they replaced him. Who? Oh, he was the guy for NKU. It makes sense now. I was like wondering, like, who did they replace? Like, who replaced him? My apologies, though. I wanted to make sure I knew who replaced who because I was like, but I remember this guy. He did help with. He did play a role with Northern Kentucky. John Brandon, who is actually a. I think it helps out a lot. I guess Kentucky will probably do their own thing with like some teams, but I feel like they're gonna I think they're probably gonna do something where Louisville and Kentucky are gonna have their own thing. Louisville and Kentucky is gonna have their own game. I think there's gonna do something because I think they got. I mean, even if they don't play this year, which is I find surprising they wouldn't because they're probably going to play before conference season. And if they're going to have it, I say this, have it in the bubble. Have something in the bubble. Like, for your 3 to 5 games, to have Kentucky in that bubble. I think Kentucky can be in that bubble. Or, because I think, who hosted last year? I think the U of L UK game was in Lexington, I believe. This year. I'm not last year was in Lexington, actually. Was it in Lexington? I know I should have all my facts in here, but I'm like U of L versus UK. It was in Rupp Arena. So this year it will. This year it will be in. This year it's going to be. I think this year it will be in Louisville, and I think they would probably do something there. I say they're going to have like a 3 or 4 game bubble, and then Louisville will probably set up something for Kentucky, and then Louisville has something for Kentucky, and I think that's going to be a thing there. I think Louisville's going to have their bubble with some of their teams. I think Kentucky's going to have a bubble with some of their teams. If some teams over they're inviting over. And then I guess Louisville too. And then I think before both of them start their conferences, whenever, they'll probably have their game in Louisville like normal. And everything will be like normal. My question is, will there be fans? I kind of doubt there'll be fans. And if they do, they're probably going to be very limited, and I think you probably have to wear your mask or something, and I think you have to be very limited. You would probably have to wear your mask the entire time, and I'm like, it's a thing. And I think if they do it, I think they're going to find a way of, like, streaming some of these games, these bubble games. Like, they'll probably have something set up with, like, U of L is going to have someone with, like, the local stations, like WLKY or WDRB or someone. to do like the Rock has these games, which I think it should be a thing, or something with ESPN. ESPN, you're probably gonna be on ESPN or probably on ESPN Plus or some weirdness, weird shit. Which I'm not worried about it that much. I'm like, but if college basketball is coming back, I'm up for whatever they got planned for. It's something I need. I think it needs to be done. I'm excited for it. I want it to happen. And let's just get that. Let's get the college basketball going. So let's go on to. I guess we should talk about NBA real quick before we go into this. So both conference finals are set now. We're now into the point of conference finals. We have now the Miami Heat versus the Boston Celtics. Miami taking care of the number one seed in the East. The Bucks, it was my pick to win the East. Got rid of them in 5. Could have gotten rid of them in 4, but the Bucks found a way of winning Game 4 just to avoid the sweep. And Celtics won their series, I believe, 4-2 over the Toronto Raptors. So this season, there's going to be a new NBA champion crown guaranteed. And yeah, it's and that's Miami Heat. They're up right now as we speak. The Miami Heat are up 2-0 on them. The Miami Heat are right now 10-1, are 10-1 in the postseason this year, and this is a Heat team that is very tough. Is a dominant team on the back of Jimmy Butler, and this is a team that's it's a gutsy team, and they are great. And Jimmy Butler is a great facilitator. You got Goran Dragic and Tyler Hero too. Goran Dragic, who's been known to shoot great at shooting outside. Tyler Hero, a young man who pretty much was a player who wasn't good enough for Kentucky and ends up being one of the best players for Kentucky the past 2 years, and becomes this crazy young man who's taking over. He took over, and then you had Jay Crowder is on the team, and with Jay Crowder and a few others. Bam Adebayo, who's practically a great force on the defensive side in the paint, especially in the paint. The kid is tough, and my thing is his team might be the team to make the finals, and I think they might have a chance of winning this because I think they could win it in 6 over the Lakers. Lakers actually are now in the Western Conference Finals. They are now facing not the Clippers, but the Denver Nuggets. Now. Yes, the Denver Nuggets end up shocking the world and end up coming back from a 3-1 deficit and defeated the Clippers in 7 games. Well, especially in making 2 great comebacks in games 5 and 6, after being down by 19 points at least, and coming back in both those games. And then in game 7, they pretty much just broke the Clippers' will, and this is all I can say about that. About that choke job from the Clippers. Any Clippers fans out there, you guys are just the Washington Capitals of the NBA. You guys can never get past the second round. You're just stuck being the Lakers bitch forever. I'm sorry. It's either that or Donald Sterling has this curse over you. At this point, you guys just need to take the team, move to LA or move out of LA to somewhere else, Seattle or something. I'm at this point, you guys just cannot win a game. Win a series in a second round of can't make conference finals appearance for your lives, and I feel and I feel bad for you. I, I, I don't. I have a lot of pity for you guys. Just may God have mercy on your guys' souls. May God have mercy on your guys' souls, because a lot harsh loss. Anyways, the MVP now ended up being Giannis. Just earlier today, he ended up getting out of 101 votes, first place votes. He got 85 of them. LeBron came in second. He got 16, the other 16, which LeBron kind of took it like, okay, that's pissed me off. And let's just say this, like, pretty much LeBron, I think in a way, just said, all right, cool. He can have the Giannis can have the MVP. He can have back-to-back MVP trophies. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this trophy. I'm getting this ring. So let's just say this. That's what I'm thinking the mentality is, because Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals ended up being a blowout for the Lakers, who pretty much came out, who ended up getting great rest, ended up being who actually beat the Rockets in 5. So they had a little bit more rest time, and I think they went into this game with purpose and intent to beat this team. And do I feel bad for the do I think Nuggets have a chance? I don't think so. I think they could win. The Lakers are going to win. I say 5. In 5, I don't believe they would sweep. I don't think they're going to sweep the Nuggets, but I think in 5 is probably the call. I think in 5 is the call. Lakers in 5. And, yeah. Yeah, I think in 5 is going to be the case. So, I think there we go. I think we kind of covered almost everything. Only thing we missed was probably NFL stuff, which I'm actually going to talk more in depth about it in just a minute. We'll be right back, guys. I just need to take a little something to help wake me up. You guys are watching episode number 11 of the J Money Talks podcast. Don't go anywhere, folks. Alright, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with episode number 11 of the J Money Talks podcast. Before we get into before we get to, say, some football, I gotta mention something that's been going on, and this is, during, when I was in my, in my free time. I end up getting, this is something that's it appears to be fresh on my mind. I'm talking fresh on my mind. And it looks like this is I don't know if this is a real post or whatever. And I'm thinking this has gotta be some prank or some kind of setup or something. Because so this is what happened. I ended up getting this, so I'm chilling on social media. I'm chilling in my bed. I'm chilling on my bed. I'm just going for my phone, going for social medias, going for all my social medias, watching YouTube videos, just chilling, waiting to before I go to sleep. Try to pass out, go to sleep. And right as I get this, I get this text from this one account, which is I believe this is the account in question. I think the name is Calvin _Abrams. Abram 42, I believe. And this account, in this account here, pretty much liked a couple of my photos and stuff. And I'm like, I'm not thinking of it. I'm like, okay, it's just someone who likes my photos. Okay, cool. All right, cool. And I'm just like, okay, I got a couple of likes and stuff on this here. And I'm like, it's nothing major, nothing crazy, right? Nothing too crazy, right? And nothing too crazy. I'm not sure. It's not there anymore. It's it's like it went ghost. Like the thing like disappeared like a ghost. The account right now, as we know it, is gone. Like it's no longer around. It followed the account followed me. I get a DM from this girl. I get a direct message from the the chat in question. So I'm going through this whole rigmarole. So I sent a few messages. I'm like, she introduced herself, like, oh, hello, I'm Nancy, and like, I'm Nancy, and, he introduced herself. I'm like, hello, I'm like, so I say hello, and I'm like, she ends up saying the photo, like, herself, and it was like, okay, she's like, okay, she seems like a nice girl, I'm like, I could have her number. I'm like, she could have my phone number, and she wanted to like a text on my phone, and I'm like, I mean, I don't really give anybody my number, especially if I just text you like not in 5 minutes. So that's like weird. She sends she sends her number first, so I was like, well, okay, it has a different zip code, and I'm like, all right, cool. I guess I'll text you on there. So I said send my text. So I send her a text. So she texted me on my. We started doing actual text messages. She asked how I was doing. We just talked like I was seeing like a common questions, and usually I don't give people my phone number. I told her I didn't give my phone number on a whim because I usually deal with like some stalkers and some other shit like. And so I told her I'll work out. I do this podcast here. I play some video games in my spare time. Not often, but I play some video games if I have some free time on my hands. And then I asked her like so her name's Nancy. She's 20, and I'm like, okay, cool. She's like from Florida. She likes swim. She likes sports activities like working out and doing stuff, regular normal stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, so I told her like. She asked how old I was, and I was like, oh, I'm 23, I'm about to be 24 in November. And I'm like, oh, mine's actually November 2, hers is on the 8th, and I was like, oh, okay, mine's on November 6th. Very close, so then what's crazy is she asked for what my mobile carrier was. And I said, well, that's an interesting question. I've never really asked. I never really asked, like, had someone ask what my mobile carrier was before. Doesn't it sound weird? And so I was like, almost gonna switch it up to like, oh, what's your favorite foods? And she said, oh, she likes hamburgers, and I'm like, and it started going, a little crazy. She said, like, I really want us to be together, and I'm like, I know we just met, but to be in a relationship is not about when you met. It's about trust and love by me. And I'm like, that. So I'm like, I play along with it. I'm like, oh, it sounds like a move. I mean, that's a bold move. Honestly, I was like, well, I'm right now where I'm moving to my own apartment, honestly, and I'm like, that's just a little birthday present to me, a little birthday present for me. Hope to move around my birthday. Which is actually, that part is actually true. I actually was planning on moving on my birthday, depending on some things. But if nothing like that, if I don't get this one thing deal with my estate, which is probably done, that's another story for another time. she's like, "Oh, I really wish I could get another phone." And I asked her, "You going to school? Do you go to school?" And I'm like, "Luckily, my uncle said he's gonna send me a gift." He said I should get a friend that uses T-Mobile. I'm like, again, I felt you. Me, I kind of like, well, T-Mobile does have a good deal with a mobile plan that has unlimited talk, data, and text. Costs like $45 a month, which is actually true, which is kind of what I got. But I need your help for this to get it done. And I was gonna move it. I was like, what is that? Then this chick was asking for the username and the password of my like T-Mobile logins. And it looks like that is some wild chick. So I was like, this is getting like clearly suspect. That was where how suspect this shit got. Was this. That's how suspect this shit got. I was like, this chick wants me to give her my like, logins to like my mobile carrier. Let me say this. Number one, I don't know what it is because I do like autopay and like paperless billing, but my sister has that shit on lock. So even if I did have it, why would I give it up? That's stupid. Like, it's stupid. Like, use your common sense, lady. She did try to come at me, texting me on, she did later on try texting me on Instagram direct, trying to get me back on. I don't have rest on here on my phone because I don't have everything. But we just talked more and more and more, and then at least ignore it. Thinking she did ignore it, and I'm like, well, there's gotta be a point like, I don't believe if this chick is real or not. I don't know if this chick is real or a bot or not. So I was like, if you are real, how about make a phone call to me? You make a phone call, or we can do like a video call thing on this phone. And I think she just try to make. I think she or he or whoever this is was trying to make excuses or whatnot. Was trying to make excuses for whatnot, and then it's like she ends up saying some. We end up talking some more, and this chick decides to try to get me on Hangouts, which is like the social media app for Google, like Hangouts, like text where you text, talk, text, video chat, and all that stuff. She wanted me to go on there, and I'm like, I don't really have it because I probably deleted it because it's a pointless app, and I don't really see the reason to use it. So I decided I set it up for me, just for me, from my personal email, and yeah, it's this one like. So this happened, and then all of a sudden I'm like, she ends up talking to me and was planning on sending this check to me on behalf of her uncle. This is where it gets. This is how I stopped right there because I was like, yeah, I don't trust this. Plus, here's the thing, and this is to any advice to anybody who gets this. If a girl asks, can she send a check to you? That is a scam offer. This is a scam. Or some type of bank scam or bank fraud or some type of way where she is trying to get either the military or the police or someone on your ass. Don't do it. I got caught in a trick like that via email and via text message earlier, like a few years ago. Someone tried to catch me on that. I had a check sent to me, a random check sent to me to my address, trying to get me to, and it was a situation. I had some friends DM me, like, telling me, like, yo, back out of that shit, get that check out of there ASAP. That is a trick. Don't fall for it. Do not fall for this genjutsu. So, I knew this is somewhat suspect. I tried talking to her uncle, which I think is probably her on this chick having an account of her uncle and trying to at least get this check or whatever. This guy, the dude wanted to try getting my mobile banking account, which password and mobile account number, password, and all that shit. And I was like, yeah, no, fuck that, I'm out. I'm out. I told him, listen, no, not happening. I'm deleting this app. You guys, I'm not touching any of this at all. You can, and whatever. So, I recently got a recent follow. So, I ended up getting this recent follow, like, fast forward 1 week later, dude, now we're getting the same shit right now with this one guy on this phone right now by this general by the name of Jason Robinson. If Jason Robinson it was this, like, I guess is an army general by chance. And this is what I get. So this guy reacted to my story around 9:30. I ended up doing a little thing on my Instagram story. So I got the Wendy's spicy nuggets and McDonald's spicy nuggets. See which one was better. Actually, it is actually Wendy's. Which is actually Wendy's. So I ended up getting this So this guy reacted to my story. I was doing, like, the comparison. And just, like, 40 minutes ago, this guy sends messages. Almost an hour ago, sent this message to me. Hello, how are you doing? I'm General Robinson. And this guy makes this whole huge ass thing, which sounds like crazy suspect. Good day, Jason Johnson. This mail is from the Federal Bureau of Investigation under the Act 1972, and then it says some code of something, like, it sounds like a bylaw of some kind. It is a report by Nancy Troop was made against you of money that was mailed to your address with the amount of $4,950. And we have gotten a report of you trying to defraud Miss Nancy Troop. We're sending this to you as an act of warning to you. We've got all your information with us, your home address, full name, zip code, phone number. So in the morning you will receive a check. Make sure you deposit it into your account, for she was crying to us that her uncle sent it to you. Is that true? Let's see. And this guy tried to send a video chat to me, and then he tries to answer me if this is true, and I'm like, listen, if I do, alright, so I have this message right now. Am I going to sit onto it? No. But I will say this. Yes, this is true, but I have not received this check yet. Well, first of all, I have not received this check yet. And yes, maybe she does have all my information, but I am not. If I do receive this check, I'm not depositing it into the account. I'm not going to touch the check. I'm not going to deposit it in my account. I'm going to leave that. I'm planning on sending that immediately back to you. If this is all you need, I'm not touching this account. So yes, I am going to say that if this is, listen, there's part of me that believes this chick is fake. Woman was fake. I thought she was leading me on to some type of bank fraud scam, and I did not want to play a role in this. If this is someone who, if you are of the military, sir, and I kindly apologize. I did not expect this is a real woman was actually sending me a real check. This girl was actually a 20-year-old woman who really wanted to start a life with me, and was probably, wanted to move into an apartment with me and all this stuff. And I'm like, listen, you are 20. The truth is, if your birthday, I was playing for that birthday weekend was me pretty much trying to, collapse some cheeks here. Let's just be real. I was like, once I had my fun that birthday weekend, you belong to the streets, bitch. You're with every money. That money is your money. I'm not touching none of that shit. And you aren't touching any of my money. So let's just be real. I was just gonna buy a room for the two of us at the Gold House, and let's just say, clap them cheeks, and you send you back off to Florida, wherever you belong in Florida. You belong to the streets. She belonged to the streets. And also, she said she was a virgin, which I'm probably questioning a bit. If she really wanted to lose her virginity, I'm like, listen, I get you want to lose your virginity, that's good, but I'm like, come on. You really going to lose your virginity to the first dude you call or text on social media? Really? Really? So, I don't know if this is real. I'm going to respond to it in a minute. Respond to this guy in a minute. Is that, okay, this is the information I know. I believe that this woman, yes, she tried to get me to say this check, and I'm like, and deposit it into my account on her behalf. And when she came to Louisville here on November 6th or whatever, she can take it out of her. She can have that money out and whatever. And that was what was going to happen. And yes, I did say that she could send the check to me, but I didn't plan on doing this. I know this is a real woman who was sending an actual check. This is an actual check. It was just a birthday gift from her uncle. I believe all this was some way, shape, or form, a scam. So, if this is, don't worry, I was not planning on touching this check whatsoever. I plan on returning it back to sender, because this is a fake thing. If she really is going to put me for jail for all of this, I'm like, at this point, not cool. I'm pretty much not dealing with it. But if there is some charges to me, go ahead. But other than that, I'm blocking you. You can do your absolute worst to me. I'm not dealing with that shit. So I'll say this. If I go to jail after I respond to this guy, tell him everything I've just said to you guys, I want to keep this on the record for you. If you ever get any type of follow, and if they DM you hours later, if the account has no profile picture, has 0 posts, and there are more people she is following than she has the number of followers, that account is fake. That is the same thing with Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Every social media has these things. There's some bot or some scammer or some hacker trying to get either your money or your personal account, whatever. Find some way to ruin your life, some way, shape, or form. Don't trust every account. Check. And if they are real, if they're trying to get a relationship with you or whatever it is, make sure you actually call account to this. So, they actually sent another thing to me here. So it says here, we be taking, we be, wait, this man did hardly spell this right. So it says here, we be taking strict account towards you if you fail to heed our warning, and if you fail to do so, we will be taking charges into our hands. For now, we'll only like you to get Miss Nancy Troop our check, which was mailed to your house address. If not, we are going to have you tracked down and charged on arrest for fraud. And I'm like 43. 7 MPL principal purposes. Miss Andrew must be refunded back the money back to her account or money order Western Union money shop or deposit into your account to him within a range of 24 hours. Name Miss Nancy True. Failure to abide or obey will lead to arrest and charge to the court for online fraud. I don't know whatever this is, and I'm probably going to go ahead. I'm going to answer this guy in a second. Like, listen. I'm going to answer this account real quick. At this point, I'm just like, listen. I don't know if this is really a shakedown of some kind or some dude's account. This is the same account that talked to me last week. And this is like an account, like this account alias of an account. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know how to respond to this. I don't know if any of this is actually a real law. If I get a check in the mail tonight, this morning, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna throw it away. That check is fake as hell. I'm gonna find a way to get rid of it. If I get arrested for fraud or some shit, I want you to know this is all on the record. I don't know if this is a real woman or not. This is bullshit. There needs to be something done with like the whole Instagram, Snapchat, like these bots and shit. These bots, these hackers, these scammers, or whoever need to be controlled and stopped soon. Point soon. If anyone has been through something like this before, you guys know how I feel about it, and this is a thing. And I'm like, I don't know what else to say. I'm gonna leave the floor to you guys. I'm done with this. I'm out. I'm gonna see you guys. Well, I'm not out, but I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna take care of this fucking guy here, and I'll be right back. We'll be right back. This is episode 11 of the J Money Talks podcast. Don't go anywhere, folks. Alright, we're back, guys. So, had to take care of this fucking troll or whatever the fuck this is. Anyways, I usually get stuff like this like once every week, 2 weeks or so. And it's always some random bot or random chick that's trying to get me to be on some campsite or some dating off brand Tinder, which basically you have to pay like some exorbitant amount to even talk to the girls or whatever the fuck, and all this bullshit. And I'm like, listen, I have no issues with sluts. I don't have any issues if you being a sex worker or a sex worker online. If you're out either sucking dick for money, or you're sucking dick on OnlyFans, or you're doing it on a webcam site, or whatever the fuck you do, I don't mind it at all. I don't like sluts, but I appreciate the sluts that are honest about it. As the I like is honesty. If you are a thought, just be honest. Be honest that you are a thought. You know that you're a thought. Just be honest with it. If you want to go ahead and take the panties off, go ahead. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. To you see me as a bank account. To me, I see you as a human condom. Once I'm done, I have my fun. You belong to the streets. That's all I see as you. You belong to the streets, bitch. I take it back, because right now I'm full. My nuts will be full of cum. I don't give a fuck whatever you do. Here's some real shit. Like, you can say whatever you want, ladies, to me. I'll just go along with it. I'll just go along with it. You could say some weird, wild shit like, we need to blow up Alaska. And I'm like, we need to blow up Alaska or some shit. And I'm like, I'll just agree with you. I'll just be like, hey, so now Alaska gotta go. You know what I'm saying? Like, Alaska gotta go. And cause I'm gonna go and give you a W. I'm gonna get that nut off, and then once I get the nut off, I'll go back in. I will go ahead and argue with you. I'm like, alright, you know what? Seriously, like, 5 minutes after that, I'm like, alright, about Alaska, bitch, let me tell you something, bitch. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Like, as no one gives a fuck. But that's the thing. I'm just like, that's what's tiring to me. I keep all these accounts either on Twitter, or Facebook, or Instagram. I've gotten some of this shit on Snapchat, and all this other stuff. And some of this stuff is from Tinder, and it's just like a bunch of accounts that are fake, bot, spam, and all this shit, and it's just like, listen, I don't mind if you are a thought. Just be honest that you're a thought. Be transparent about it. Be a little bit more transparent. Because then it's like, okay, you see me as someone, because yes, I am someone who is into, because don't get me wrong, I'm into some weird, let's say I'm a guy who is kind of has that, like, 50 Shades of Grey in me. Let's just say I kind of have a bit of a Christian Grey in me. Not into, like, the bondage shit, but, like, the dominant stuff, like, me being, like, in control type shit. So let's just say that, like, let's just say this. You'll get a full satisfaction from me, but I lead the way. Like, I control this shit. I take charge, okay? And let's just say I kind of go hard in the paint, if you know what I mean. Let's just say that. Your boy goes hard in the paint when it comes to, paint, laying down with his hoe. So, all I'm saying is this. Just if you're about that life, just be honest about it. Just be honest about it. Don't say something like you want to be just casual, make something casual. In reality, is you pretty much are cam girl. And it's like the only way we could, like, hook up or go on a date or something. If I gotta sign up to your shit, fuck out of here. You belong to the streets. I'm gonna find someone who is at least honest about it. Like, I don't mind you do it. Do your business. Like, I'm ushering this bitch. Surely I don't mind. If you dance on a pole, that'll make you a hoe. Surely I don't mind. If you work until free, it's on you leaving with me. I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck. So, but just be real about it. That's all I'm gonna say. Alright, that's my little rant there. Done. Let's go into the NFL. So, week 1 is in the books. Live stuff we pretty much established. We got, let's see, the Ravens started the season off on the right foot. They took on they whooped the Browns candy ass all across the field, 38-6. Lamar pretty much did what he did last year against the Dolphins. This time, he just pretty much did like normal biggest games. Like the Seahawks looking like coming into form, taking the Falcons at home. We got the Chiefs who end up doing a little bit, pretty much beating the Texans. Texans realizing they regret letting go of Duke Hopkins. And how did the Cardinals handle that? They accepted that Duke Hopkins respond to the trade. He went off. He ends up going, like, he gets 14 receptions, 151 yards, and helped the Cardinals led the Cardinals to a win over the San Francisco 49ers. over the San Francisco 49ers, who was the NFC champions, which is a big surprise. The Rams opened SoFi Field with a W over the Cowboys. There was some controversy about the entire... There's controversy about the offensive pass interference call. It is a ticky-tack thing, but let's be real, they gotta call it. It's hard to, they had to call it. I'm not. So, once again, Cowboys. The Joe Burrow's debut ends up with an L, but he ended up he ended up taking his team down the field in the fourth quarter. Had a chance to at least get his team in the game, and unfortunately, the Chargers ended up walking out with a W because Randy Bullock, the kicker for the Bengals, missed an easy chip shot field goal to tie the game and send the game to overtime. It didn't happen. We got the return of Big Ben and the Pittsburgh Steelers end up winning over the New York Giants in a great way with the defense, return of defense. Benny Snell, who was a former Kentucky running back, ended up getting 19 carries, 113 yards. 13 yards. Defense stifling Saquon Barkley New York Giants rushing attack, and they end up coming out with a W. The big one is the Bears coming back to beat the Lions after being down 23-6, scoring like 21 unanswered points. Cam Newton's debut for the Patriots ended up going well, beating the Dolphins 21-11, and ended up looking like he wasn't bad. Ryan Fitzpatrick shows that he is practically absolute garbage. So, he is clearly shouldn't be a quarterback. It's probably going to be a week or two until he gets replaced by Tua. So, let's just say this. I'll just say that. The debut of Tom Brady and the new-look Tampa Bay Buccaneers ends up being a sort of a failure because Brady threw two picks, and the Saints end up looking like a real team that knew what the fuck they were doing. And it was not looked very good for you. Some people will say that there's a little thing going on. Anyway, the Washington football team ended up getting 8 sacks, having a determined team with getting 8 sacks, and a rally to win a 7. Ended up reversing a 17-point deficit over the Philadelphia Eagles in not only in the first game of the season, but also the debut for Ron Rivera, who is currently going through a battle with cancer himself. Which I'm trying to say this: kick that out, kick cancer's ass, my friend. Kick cancer's ass, Ron. We want you to come back here. Get back here. And so there's a big thing is that now there's actually 8 different. Now there's actually just there's no big one is Jaguars. Look, people thought they were actually going. Oof. I'm sorry. It's lit. Like again, I'm recording this like it's 3 in the morning, and I'm recording this. Once again, the return of Minshew Mania. Gardner Minshew looked like an actual quarterback and opened the season by beating the Indianapolis Colts in their debut for Phillip Rivers. And which is surprising because it looked like a team that was probably going to give up on the season and just tank and go into the mind of tanking, which was kind of the plan here. Kind of a plan there for Jacksonville, but instead they end up actually having a bunch of young guys to replace the people they lost in Leonard Fournette, Yannick Ngakoue, and Ronnie Harrison. Harrison, an undrafted rookie running back by the name of James Robinson, ended up getting accounted for 90 yards total, 62 were on the ground. He also hurt. He even got a first round pick in C.J. Henderson, ended up getting a pick. Kavon Chison ended up getting another one, which got negated by a penalty, sadly. And the second round selection by the name of I gotta figure out what some of these names are, because some of these are brand new. These are brand new players. Yeah, these are like some new players that just joined this team. So it looks like so, and looks like that the whole. So yeah, it looks like that right now. This is possibility that there's some that right now. This is a big thing. The Eagles losing to Washington, Cowboys losing to Rams, and so if we look at it, this is week 1. What does this stack up right now? Buffalo and New England are the 2 leaders in the AFC East, 1-0. Jets and Dolphins are 0-1. Ravens are the team 2. They are the team. Ravens and Steelers are the head right now. With Cleveland behind them, and Cincinnati the last. I'm gonna get to the Browns Bengals game here. Still, AFC South. The Jacksonville Jaguars are now our lead division with the Tennessee Titans at 1-0. As Indy and Houston are pretty much staying with an L. In the AFC West, it's now a freeway battle between the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. And this is a big one, who end up beating the Carolina Panthers 34-30 in the debut of head coach Matt Rule, which was a unique back and forth between the two games, between the two teams. In the NFC East, you now have Washington, the lone leader, at 1-0, with Dallas, Philly, and New York holding an L. Chicago and Green Bay are both the leaders of the AFC North. The lone division leader in the NFC South is the Saints, and it's now a free battle in the West with the Cardinals, the Seahawks, and the Rams now. San Francisco is the team behind. This is interesting so far. It's interesting so far, kind of interesting. Now let's go. Now week 2 just started this Thursday as the Browns have something to prove in front of everybody after practically getting the literal ass whipping, getting their asses whipped by the Ravens in Baltimore, mind you. Baker Mayfield had to prove that he is the quarterback of the future for the Browns and prove like, hey, I can be in this league just like everyone else. And Baker Mayfield finally found Odell Beckham Jr., which is the guy that he should be trying to get the ball to. And probably a little that old swagger he had back in Sooner country. Well, he found it, and with Mayfield throwing 2 touchdown passes, Nick Chubb actually ran for 2 scores for 2 touchdowns and 124 yards. And it gave Kevin Stefanski their first interval victory Thursday night, beating the Cincinnati Bengals, which was also the NFL's 100th birthday. So he ended up actually Mayfield ended up connecting with OBJ on a 43-yard scoring pass in the first half. The Browns practically just found a way of getting back into this. Things actually went much better with this offense against the Bengals, because let's be honest here, their defense is trash. But the Bengals and Joe Burrow, and their number 1 overall pick, Joe Burrow, ended up showed incredible poise in that second game, throwing for 37 out of 61 for, I believe, 300. What is it? 316 yards. He did get and he scored 3 touchdowns in this game. The first best was a 9-yarder pass to Tyler Boyd with 43 seconds left, and had the Bengals within the 5 points, which is what it was with the score of 35-30. But the Browns recovered of course, the onside kick, which is probably the worst onside kick I can ever say. This is the onside kick rule. Why couldn't you guys try that 35-yard thing they did with the XFL? Why couldn't you make it work? It's trash to me. Mayfield, he ended up getting clean 16 off 23 for 219 yards. He did get one pick, but he ended up spraying this ball to 8 different receivers. The Browns also ended up going with 215 yards rushing with both Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Both teams ended up complimenting each other, pushing each other. According to Stefanski, they're working ways to get those guys to run the ball. I say that the first half was not very good for Burrow in the beginning. He was sacked 3 times. One time he tried to do a spin move, and Sean Richardson just told him, "Sit your ass down, boy," like a little boy, and there was one moment where he tried to call timeout and had the ball snap past him, but luckily enough, but I think he recovered it, but it was like third, I think it was either second or third down. It pretty much derailed everything for him, and but this guy ended up going with Baker Mayfield pass for pass, and it looks like he showed the Bengals, hey, I'm your quarterback. I'm gonna be able to turn this around. Mike Brown, I don't know if you weren't at the game yourself, because if anyone doesn't know, the owner, Mike Brown, was not able to attend this game because of COVID. He pretty much watched this game at home, probably. But I think it just showed, hey, Mike Brown, you see this offensive line, better invest in this in the next draft. And you guys probably need to invest in on defensive line and probably some cornerbacks and safety. And then if Green is gone, maybe a new receiver, a new target for Mr. Burrow. So that's a big thing. It is the thing. He ended up saying, Burrow said after the game that losing isn't very fun. This might be the only time he's lost 2 games in a row, which is true. It doesn't feel very good. It's just unacceptable to me. I grade this. I say this to the only thing I say is to the only thing I could say about this is, I'll say this, Burrow. I'll say this. I watched the highlights of the games. And I say this, that the Browns kind of does have a rhythm-based offense. I think if Mayfield realizes that this is a rhythm-based offense. It's use the running game to open up the passing game, and I try to spread the ball out. Just look at every possible option you got. Because you got pretty much OBJ, you got Jarvis Landry, you have David Njoku, you just acquired Austin Hooper from a trade with the Falcons, for Christ's sakes, and a few other options. You have a few options in Nick Chubb. You got an option in Kareem Hunt, who is a great running back. You have various options. Look around, look at each possible option if you can throw it. If you can't, maybe move around. And if it's not going to work, either you can run it yourself, or just chuck the ball, just throw it away, just go to the next play. That's all you have to do. But instead, the dude's really committed on trying to force it to one player, and I think it's something that he's got to realize. Dude, you're not gonna make you're not gonna get the touchdown. You're not gonna get the first down every time, every play. Like, you gotta like take some time on this. Cut your losses. Some cases, cut your losses. Some cases, cut your losses. Some cases, just run it out. Run it yourself. If you got the room, and you're capable of doing it. But that's beside the point. But Browns, I think they got something there. They could do something. I just think they gotta need. Hopefully, Haslam keeps his hands off of this and lets the coach and GM do their thing. I think they could make something, but who knows? The Bengals on your end, I say this is, you got the Bengals fans, you actually got a quarterback who actually does care, and this guy is correctly here saying like, hey, we have dealt with losing too much. Losing is not an option for me. I'm coming for a W. And this kid pretty much shows, like, even in the second half, even if he's having a shit game, the dude keeps coming back and finding ways. Especially, like, there was, like, 4 or 5, like, times he was, like, 4th and medium. Dude goes into that, goes on 4th down, kicks the ball, locks in, and just makes these great passes. Poise with precision. This kid is saying, I do not believe in failure or losing in any way, shape, or form. I'm going to do whatever I got to do to win this game for my team, and I respect the hell out of it. This season, do I think you guys chance this season to win some games? Do I think you guys are going to be a contender? No. Given this year, and you're in a division where you're going to be playing against Pittsburgh in the next... You're playing against Baltimore in 3 weeks. And then I think the next week or 2 after that, you're playing the Steelers first game of the season. And it looks like this pass rush, the defensive line they got, and the defensive lines they got, the pass rush just looks normal. This is like the return of Blitzburg, and it looks like the Ravens are playing eating your quarterbacks for breakfast with Calais Campbell, Derek Wolfe, Matthew Judon. I'm just saying is, hopefully if Mike Brown watches those division games, they invest in this next draft on offensive line. Mike Brown, I hope you understand that. Invest in offensive line for this young quarterback. If you do that, everything else will fall back in place, and you guys got a chance at an offseason. You guys got a chance at maybe coming back into the division race and maybe into the playoffs. That's all I got to say about that. That's all I got to say about that. So, yeah, this is so far is not bad. I think I hope for the best for this team. Do I actually think there's a chance now this is a better Bengals team? I believe so. I think they have a good chance of winning this game. Only thing I can say is, like, for now, do I want the Bengals to start winning again? Kind of. Because I live in Louisville, Kentucky. Here you are a Bengals fan, pretty much by proximity, basically. And I think it's time the Bengals, after the past few years of getting shitted on, need some W's some point in time. And I think, and especially now that you have Lamar Jackson, who played for the University of Louisville, a college that was 100 miles away, now is more of a fan base here in Louisville. We love Lamar. It didn't matter where he was going to go. It didn't matter if he was going to the Browns, the Bills, whoever. Whatever team it was, we were all going to stand for him. So, we were all going to stand for him. And, so, yeah. I think that's going to be a good rivalry. I have a reason to talk shit about my Ravens. And I'll rock a jersey rock my Lamar jersey, but I'll also be wearing my hats, and I'll deal with my friends who might be Bengals fans, talking that shit. And guess what? It'll be fun. Those weekends are gonna be fun. I like and stuff like that. It's good. Plus it makes the games between. Plus, I think the games between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati will be more interesting. And I think this time around, if you cut the bullshit and focus on the W and not focusing on trying to murder each other, that's good. And also, I think you guys, this thing with Burrow and Mayfield, if the games are like that against the Browns and Bengals, I'm down for it. That makes the Battle of Ohio much better. I say this: if people like Donald Trump and Daniel Cameron if people like Donald Trump can be president, then maybe Cincinnati can be a good football team. Or if other guys decide to move the factory of sadness that was in Cleveland to Cincinnati and becomes the league's new toilet. Till then, I don't know what else to say. Cincinnati, I wish you guys the best of luck. I leave the ball to your guys' hands. Okay, we'll be right back, guys. I'm going to take a break. We're probably going to do a preview of week 2, the rest of week 2, the Sunday games, and the Monday night game between the Raiders and the Saints. First game for Vegas. Don't go anywhere, folks. You're listening to episode number 11 of the J Money Talks podcast. Don't go anywhere, folks. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with episode number 11 of the J Money Talks podcast. Let's now get into the week. We're going to do a week 2 preview real quick. So, we're going to start off with all the 1 o'clock games right now. With all the 1 o'clock games right here, right now. We got the New York Giants going to Chicago to take on the Bears. We going to see how this is going to be, because right now they are the team. They are aiming to win the back-to-back games for the first time since 7 years. The first time since 2013 season that the Bears have won back-to-back games. They're planning on trying to deny the New York Giants their first victory under their new coach, Joe Judge, when the Giants visit Soldier Field this Sunday. If you don't know, last week, Chicago rallied from 17 points down behind 3 fourth-quarter touchdown passes by Mitchell Trubisky, and they hung on to a 27-23 victory over Detroit, over the Lions. And so what it says here, look like this is a chance that they actually they have, and this one is going to be interesting to see. The big thing is the Saquon Barkley is looking to come back and try to get back into the game again. I think this is a big thing because Saquon Barkley was swarmed, and out of 15 carries, he was held to 6 yards, which is one of the worst games he's had since he was drafted with the number 2 overall pick in 2018. Jeez, I'm sorry, I can hardly talk right now. The big thing is, it's going to be interesting because it looks like that the first thing is he's doing stuff from shotgun, and then he's actually starting to do, and it looks like this time around, he's actually trying to do more while he's under center. He's planning on doing more stuff under center. That's what the plan is going forward. It looks like this is something that's questioning. The next thing is, Johns is planning on getting the run game back together. It looks like that the never big thing is, Bears got to make sure that they get the third down conversions. That is the point. The big thing is extending drives. That's for the Bears. The Bears were 2 of 11 on third downs in last week's game. Failed on all 6 of them in the first half and missed their first 7 in the beginning. It was just until they actually broke through late in the third quarter that they actually broke a third down just to get in the comeback. So they actually signed a new cornerback. Also, the Giants signed a new cornerback in James Bradbury from the Panthers in free agency, and then they are also now trying to find another player to play on the other side of the field, as DeAndre Baker was supposed to start. Then he got released because he decided to be a fucking idiot by committing an armed robbery. So instead, Corey Ballantyne ended up getting the start, and Ben Roethlisberger decided to put his ass on, just burn his ass. All the receivers, Juju, James Washington, everyone pretty much took this kid to Cinnabar Island, burned his ass in that game against the Steelers. It was bad. The big thing is the Bears defense is ranked among the NFL's best in recent years, but it was hard to tell at times from his opener because they end up giving up 426 yards and only got one sack on Matthew Stafford in the game. They also came up with one turnover, yet it was a big one, which was Kyle Fuller's interception, setting up the go-ahead touchdown for him. So the big thing is the defense doesn't look that good, but I think this time around they're actually be prepared to get them back on there. I say for this one, the Bears are going to go win this one, and I think I'm going to go over for them. They actually are a 5.5 point favorite in this game. Next, we go to Dallas. The Atlanta Falcons go on to Dallas to take on them Cowboys. And this one is going to be a big one. They are pretty much going to Cowboys trying to bounce back from a 2017 loss to the Rams, and the Falcons are trying to get a W on their board after falling to Seattle 38-25 despite 450 yards passing for Matt Ryan. My goodness. So this is going to be something that needs to be taken care of. This is a game that needs to be won because the big thing is Dan Quinn is trying to not have his very first 0-2 start, because this would recall the future of the coach that most likely needs to have a playoffs berth in order to keep his job, which I believe is probably the case, which probably might not happen. So, Dan Quinn, you are probably going to the unemployment line, my friend. Unemployment line, my friend. Once again, Dak is trying to make sure he can get back into this year and actually make sure he can produce with a chance to tie when late. It is a big thing that is a theme that is really too familiar with last year, as Dallas was 1-6 in these one-score games. This ain't Dak. You gotta have a big first half, but you gotta find a way to make sure you can keep your team to produce anything, either a field goal, a touchdown, whatever it is. You gotta do. You gotta make sure that you keep this ball moving, keep the clock going, and everything else. That's a big thing. So you need to know. You gotta make sure because this is your contract year. This year you gotta prove to Jerry boy, hey, I'm worth the money that Mahomes got, worth the money Deshaun Watson got, and whatever Lamar gonna get. I deserve a cut that much money in my bank account. Anyway, will this have fans? Yes, there probably will, because Cowboys are going to have fans, because according to head coach Mike McCarthy, the Cowboys are going to probably have a 25% capacity, which in a stadium which houses 80,000. So 20,000 fans in attendance is not bad. But according to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, you can have up to 50% capacity in stadiums. So I don't know what the number really will be. It's probably either going to be 20,000 to 40,000 people on that field. So So, we might have the possibility of a game. So, we might have us a little fun game there. What's the big things about it? We got the Cowboys. It's a battle of probably the wide receivers because for Dallas you got Amari Cooper who just got a good extension with the Cowboys. First round draft pick CeeDee Lamb for the Cowboys, and Michael Gallup coming also in the lineup there. And then you got, of course, for the Falcons, you got Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Russell Gage, who are pretty much coming into this one very well. Especially Gage's performance was quite encouraging, as he was a 6th round pick out of LSU in 2018. So he got a shot to play a much bigger role as the third receiver. This is a good kid. According to Matt Ryan, he said he's always been a guy who I thought had a lot of talent. You're always unsure when a guy gets his opportunity. Is he going to be able to handle that role, do it week in, week out? He certainly exceeded everyone's expectations. So we got that. That's going to be a big battle between wide receivers. Which quarterback is going to be the one that's going to throw that bomb? Probably throw that deep bomb that seals the team, which gives the team the victory. Then we get another round of Zeke versus Todd Gurley, who play against each other, ran against each other. The first three times was when Gurley was with the Rams, including a divisional playoff game during the 2018 season, which is the year the Rams went to the Super Bowl and lost to the aforementioned Empire. The big thing is that both teams are also looking to try to probably their secondary good, because Falcons looking to tighten up their coverage because Russell Wilson ended up just getting tossed these balls down like he drops his balls into Sierra. So for Sierra, and that's going to be the big thing. That is the big key here. The big key here is for them, and that is primarily Atlanta. So this is going to be a close game, but I'm going to go with the Cowboys because the secondary for the Falcons is a little young, is on a bit of the youth side, and for them, this is something that's going to be a bad experience for them. So, that is the big thing. So next, we get a division game in the NFC North between the Lions and the Packers. And the last two games between the Packers and Lions is the biggest difference. Green Bay finds a way to win these close games somehow by some type of miracle with the referees fucking the Lions raw with no lube, or Detroit being Detroit. So, one of the two. So, Packers swept in their last two regular season games with the Lions last year, despite never leading the game until Mr. Crosby made a game-winning field goal as time expired. In Green Bay's home opener, they are means this Sunday. Malfour said that it was pretty much a miracle that we were able to win both those games. And Lions are trying to bounce back after blowing a 17-point fourth quarter lead in a 27-23 loss to Chicago last week. Which, that loss was Detroit's 10th straight loss. Matt Stafford explains about the loss. It doesn't matter if you lose it, win it by 10, lose it by 10, whatever it is, lose a close one, win a close one. You've got to move on to the next one. Shoot, like we're us, Green Bay gets our attention pretty quick. Well, Green Bay actually went 9-1 last year when games are decided by 8 points or less. before opening the season with a 43-34 record. Detroit had a 2-0-1 record early last season with a pair of 3-point victories, but has since gone 1-9 in games decided by 8 or fewer points. And the Lions have lost 11 games. They've led in the fourth quarter under their head coach Matt Patricia, who took over in 2018. Detroit is going to have a tough time building a lead against a Green Bay offense who is right now operating on peak efficiency, as Aaron Rodgers threw for 364 yards and threw for 4 touchdowns, no picks against the Vikings, with Devontae Adams tying a Don Hudson 78-year-old franchise single game record with 14 passes for the Packers. And the Packers aren't planning on taking none for granted. Matt LaFleur says that, quite frankly, they should have won last week. There's no doubt about it. And they definitely could have beaten us twice last year. So, we've got a big task in front of us. This is the big thing about it. The offensive line uncertainty. The Packers are losing their starting right guard and Lane Taylor to a season-ending knee injury. Their right tackle Sal, the Vikings game with a new problem, so it says for Sunday's game is uncertain right now. The offensive line opportunities is going to lead. Their injuries on the offensive line leads to him giving Rick Wagner, an offensive tackle who played for, guess who? Detroit from 2017 to 2019, and before getting released in March. And before he got released in March, I think he's gonna remember he's gonna be looking at his team, looking at his old teammates and tell him this could be us to use to trade me. So who knows? Detroit has some bad stuff has been having issues with the hammies when involves their quarterbacks, because the Detroit Lions placed Justin Coleman on injured reserve and are unsure of Desmond Trufant's status after he was unable to practice Wednesday. And then Detroit's quarterback situation does get a boost from the rookie Jeff Okudah, who is the number 3 overall pick from Ohio State. And Okudah has been practicing this week after missing the Bears game with a hamstring injury. Next, we got Jaire Alexander. Talk about Jaire Alexander, who is a former Louisville Cardinal right here. Former Louisville Cardinal. Packers cornerback Jaire Alexander says he'll have a tough time managing what he accomplished in the season opener. In the Vikings game, he had a sack, a pick, and a safety against the Vikings, and he became the fifth player in the past 20 years to achieve all 3 of those things in the same game. God damn. That is a big thing. Next, this is a familiar foe because Matt Stafford has thrown for 5,186 yards against Green Bay, which is the most of any Packers opponent. And he has thrown 34 touchdown passes against the Packers to tie Hall of Famer Johnny Unitas for first place among Green Bay foes. So, at the moment, he has a chance of breaking that record. The Lions are 7-11 against the Packers in the game Stafford has played in. Next, another old rival returns to the Bay as Adrian Peterson is coming back as Adrian Peterson. He had memorable matchups with Green Bay during his years as the Vikings after making some stops in New Orleans, Arizona, and Washington for the past 3 seasons. Adrian Peterson is back in the NFC North, and in his Lions debut, Adrian Peterson ended up rushing for 94 yards on 14 carries. Aaron Rodgers says about Pearson, in my generation playing in this league for the past 15 years, to me he's the most talented back we've seen. There have been a lot of great ones, but we played him twice a year. Seeing him in his prime, not many people can combine speed, power, moves all in one, and you hated seeing him get out in the open field because he rarely got caught, and he just had all the tools as a back. and he's still got most of the tools. I mean, he's still so talented, tough, strong, and athletic. I just have respect for how he's played his career and what he's accomplished. I say this: Green Bay, they're favored by 6.5. This is a home game. It's Lambeau. I say it's gonna be a Packers win. Jeez, that in the land you can't lose in the land of cheese. Land of cheese. Jeez, Packers take this one. Next, we get another divisional matchup between in the AFC South between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Tennessee Titans. This one's a big one. Is the Tennessee Titans? They are pretty much hoping to do a. They're hoping to do is start a season 2-0 for the first time since 2008, and that was also the last time the AFC South was in the palm of Tennessee's hands. Biggest lesson learned at Titans run to the AFC Championship game is the importance of starting the postseason at home, and the big goal is doing that against one of your rivals in the Jacksonville Jaguars. The biggest number one goal every single year is to win the division, according to Kevin Byard. Titans beat Kevin Byard. So, obviously, the number one goal every single year is to win the division. So, we have to start by beating our division opponents. So, that's, of course, the big one. They have won 6 straight over the Jaguars. Titans have beaten the Jaguars 6 straight in Nashville, with the past 2 victories coming in big routes. Tennessee is coming back from a 16-14 win in Denver, where this franchise hadn't won since 1987. Jeez. First time, that's when they were the Houston Oilers. That's how old that team had never won in Denver. That is huge. And the Jaguars beat so the Jaguars, according to Byard, he said that the Jaguars beating Indianapolis got their attention. Byard said of the Jaguars that I think the Colts kind of underestimated them and they win a dogfight. So hopefully it won't be a dogfight for us. Hopefully we can get up and score a lot of points. But at the end of the day, it's all about trying to be 1-0 this week. The Jaguars also have our eye of staying undefeated, which would only be the 8th such 2-0 start in franchise history, and the second time they've done that inside the division. And Jaguars defensive end Josh Allen said, I feel like there's always going to be that doubt when people think about us, and that's what we have to change around here. So yeah, I think it's a big game for us. It's a big game because it's a divisional game. It's a game that we must have. Next, watch it. So what's the big thing? We gotta watch the kicker because Stephen Gostkowski had pretty much a borderline Hall of Famer for the Patriots. A kicking machine hit the practice field after missing 2 field goals and an extra point with a third field goal block in Denver. His last game. The 4-time Pro Bowler never missed that much in a single game during his 14 years with the Patriots. It said the special teams coordinator Greg Ukerman I'm sorry, my friend. Lahayim said all the issues are fixable. When he was missing a couple, he was like, man, I've never had this happen. It's kind of like, hey, we've got to refocus, talk about a few things. Next is something called a curtain call. Jacksonville started 3 rookies in week 1. Each had memorable debuts. The Jaguars hope they can build on those against Tennessee. Undrafted running back James Robinson ran 16 times for 62 yards and ended up jumping over a defender like Mario during a 28-yard reception. Cornerback C.J. Henderson, the 9th overall pick in this year's draft, broke up 4 passes and got his first pick in the game. He also sealed the victory, knocking away a 4-down pass. Second rounder Laviska Shenault caught 3 passes for 37 yards in a score and had 2 carries out of a Wildcat formation. Unique. That is a neat thing. So, Shenault said that there is so much more, and this is what Shenault said, predicting more down the road. I'm not the type of guy to talk. I'm a very humble guy. I'm just ready for the opportunities to come my way. The big key is for the Jaguars is stopping the run. Especially you got a literal bowling ball by the name of Derrick Henry, who who actually ran for like I say 10,000 yards in high school or some shit. So let's just say you gotta stop that big ass motherfucker who is a beast. Yeah, I don't even want to do it because especially the last time you actually had the last time I think because the last time I remember the dude ran a 99-yard run, got a 99-yard run on you guys. Jaguars are ranked 28th in the league against the run in 2019. Derrick Henry ended up managing to get 200 free yards and free touchdowns on the ground in the past two games last season. The Jaguars general manager Dave Caldwell and head coach Doug Marrone revamped their D-line, moved Miles Jack back to outside linebacker and signed in the box safety Josh Jones. Jack and Jones led the way Sunday as Jacksonville held Indy to 188 yards rushing, more than 50 yards under what it allowed last year. So pretty interesting. The Titans are about to hold the NFL's rushing leader last year, and Coach Mike Vrabel said they don't have a pitch count for Henry. They are planning on running this ball into the gut. The 2019 NFL rushing leader carried 31 times in the opening win against the Broncos. It was the third time Henry has topped 30 carries in his career. It says here Tennessee is 14-0 when he rushes for more than 100 yards. Henry is also averaging 104.3 yards rushing against AFC South teams since he became the starter in 2018. His 1,251 yards rushing inside the division lead the NFL in that time. A total that includes 498 yards rushing against the Jaguars. The big thing is, for the Titans, they have the pass rush. So this might be a little... Let's see how good the offensive line holds for Gardner Minshew. Because linebacker Jadeveon Clowney ended up playing 47 snaps in his Titans debut and had a tackle for loss. Now the Titans might have their other free agent signed to help pressure quarterbacks available for the first time on Sunday. So this is a big thing. They are going to have him on that field often. And it says here that Vic Beasley's Jarrett didn't pass physical sadly until September 5th and was inactive against Denver, but he practiced fully for the first time Thursday since joining the Titans. So Vic Beasley is going to be making his season debut with the Titans. So this is going to be, I say this time around, I see this Titans going to win this one. I just don't see. Maybe the Jaguars could stop the run. Who knows? But I say that this is a Titans team that's going to find a way of winning. I don't see them Titans losing to Jaguars anytime soon. So I go with Titans over Jaguars. But I think Jaguars are going to cover the point spread a bit. Could cover the point spread. So we'll go with that. Next, we got the Vikings. The Vikings invade Indianapolis to go take on the Vikings. Invade Indianapolis to take on the Colts. And one thing to help with the ground game is drafting this young man by the name of Jonathan Taylor. Because he is now on Sunday. Colts are giving this 21-year-old rookie to play be the workhorse horseback. As sadly, the injured Marlon Mack actually got injured. Marlon Mack ended up getting out for the season because of an Achilles injury. Feels bad for him. I feel bad for Marlon Mack. So, wish you the best, my friend. Next, the big thing about this game is the defense. He's going to have a definite heavy workload. The young man, Jonathan Taylor, he is actually now if you're wondering who is Jonathan Taylor, he was a great player for. He was probably the best, one of the best running backs in Wisconsin, one of the best in the FBS. For a long time, he was the first FBS player to top 6,000 yards in free 2,000-yard seasons. And he's foregone his senior year to come to be a pro. And he actually made his debut last week, having 6 catches for 67 yards. 67 yards. He is a powerful back. He is effective on the inside. He has a great breakaway speed. He's a dangerous player. So once he gets outside, he is dangerous. His speed he's gone. He's gone. Coach Frank Reich, Colts head coach Frank Reich said that Jonathan, I think, has been in this mindset of he's been a star and a starter all his life. So for him to step into this role, I think it is a pretty easy transition. So this is, in this first game as a starter, he is going up against a Minnesota defense who is typically ranked among the league's best in terms of the run. Starting to run, but the Vikings didn't look like that part because Minnesota allowed 43 points, 522 yards, which is one of the worst things in head coach Mike Zimmer's tenure as coach. That is the first thing they cannot let afford happen again, because if they don't, Vikings are going to be leaving, going back to Minneapolis with an 0-2 start, the first since 2013. So what is the things that need to change? According to recently hired defensive end Yannick Ngakoue, he says that I just feel like we came out flat, you know what I mean? People want to say, I guess, not having fans and things like that, but at the end of the day, it's just like playing backyard football. We didn't have any fans back then, we just went out there and had fun. The Colts, however, Colts actually have some other problems, as their newest quarterback, Philip Rivers, threw 2 interceptions, and their best receiver, T.Y. Hilton, dropped the last 2 passes of the game, a feeling that has not at him all week. The best solution to this is a more balanced offense with a spotlight shot on Taylor. Coach Frank Reich said that you're excited for Donovan. This will be a great opportunity for him. So let's talk about this whole road trip. After last week's home opener, the Vikings made their first road trip of the COVID-19 era to Indianapolis, where actually a crowd of up to 2,500 fans could congregate at Lucas Oil Stadium, which is a weird thing. Coach Mike Zimmer said about the fans, the 2,500 fans at the game, this might be a little bit more normal now that we've been through this one time. So we just have to be focused on our job and what we're going to do, and we can't worry about crowds and protocols and anything like that. But the Colts in history has been inhospitable to Minnesota, which has lost all 11 games played in Baltimore or Indy when they were the Baltimore Colts and he has the Indianapolis Colts. Vikings actually own at least one road win against the other 30 franchises. So, of the 11 times that the Vikings and the Colts have played in Indy or in Baltimore, the Minnesota Vikings could never come out with one W, which is a rarity. So if they actually do this, they actually get the Vikings can join the Ravens in winning a game at least one game at all 31 venues and all 31 NFL franchises, 31 other franchises. So that is a big goal. Next we're talking about a milestone watch. Next is the milestone watch up next, as it says here that Philip Rivers remembers hanging posters of some of the great quarterbacks in his bedroom. This week he has a chance of joining some and surpassing some others. It says here that Philip Rivers needs 2 touchdown passes and 366 yards in this game to become the 6th member of the 400 TD club and the 60,000 yard club. And he needs at least 24 completions in this game to pass Hall of Famer Dan Marino for 5th all-time for most pass completions, which is 4,967. If he actually makes his consecutive start, it makes it 226. He will end up tying former Raven Terrell Suggs for the league's 11th longest streak. And one more win actually gives him 124, tying Hall of Famer and former Vikings great, the legend Fran Tarkenton, for number 8 all time. Rivers said, according about these milestones, that's what matters most. Find a way to help the team to a win. If that means 8 yards passing and handing it off 55 times, then let's do that. If it means something different, then let's do that. A familiar foe. This is also a familiar foe. The Vikings' last trip to Indy was also the debut for the Indianapolis Colts. But Yannick Ngakoue actually played at Lucas Oil Stadium 4 times with Jacksonville before he was traded in the 8 career games against Colts. Ngakoue has had 6.5 sacks, 15 quarterback hits, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 pick. The Colts were eager to get him out of the division, but not happy to see him back so soon. According to head coach Frank Reich, said that he has a relentless motor, he's a fierce competitor. That was a very good pickup for the Vikings. Ngakoue had only 4 full practices with the Vikings before his debut last week against Green Bay. He was a non-factor in the loss. Acknowledged this week he was rusty. Well, that is kind of true because, I mean, it is honest. You've only been there you had 4 practices with a team. You were traded like at least the week before the season started, so you didn't have a chance to understand the schemes and everything, so I kind of understand that point there. So, let's move on next. Next, looks like a former player is reunited, and it feels so good. As Xavier Rhodes spent 7 seasons with Minnesota Vikings as cornerback, a 4 signing of Indianapolis as an independent free agent in March. He was not bitter about this deal. It's just excited that he's got to hit some old friends. When I was practicing against those guys, Rose said about going up against his former teammates in Minnesota. He says, when I was practicing against those guys when I was there, we were competing each and every play. So it's going to be the same right there on the field. Rhodes, but he said, I am going to be able to tackle him this time. So it's going to be interesting. So I say this is a closer game. I think for this one, I say this time the Vikings are going to have it better. Going to look much better. I think Kirk Cousins is going to have enough to lead his team. He's going to do just enough for the Vikings to win this one. So I'm going to give Vikings the W here. I think the Colts sadly might have to go 1-2 in this one. Next, in the next game, we go to the AFC East. We start with the Bills and the Buffalo Bills going to Miami, take on the Miami Dolphins. So, let's begin with the rebuilding project for the Dolphins that Brian Flores has to do. If it involves them trying to get to be the best team in the AFC East, they gotta find a way to beat Josh Allen and the Bills. Lately, the rivalry has gone the Bills' way, and Miami fans in the stands, it seems like there will be fans in Miami which their numbers will be limited because of Corona. We'll be rooting for a reversal when these teams meet in the Dolphins' home over this Sunday. Brian Flores talking about the game, saying, I would agree that the Bills are trending upward. This is a good team. We want to put our best foot forward. Flores actually went 0-2 against Buffalo last year, and the Bills are 5-1 against Miami since Sean McDermott became their coach in 2017. The Bills have won 3 in a row in the series with Josh Allen doing amazing with 8 touchdown passes and 1 pick. Heck, this year, Buffalo is off to the best start among the free AFC seems hoping to overtake the Patriots in this post-Tom Brady era. Bills opened their campaign to be the AFC East new king by beating the New York Jets, and the Dolphins began year 2 under Brian Flores by losing to his former boss, New England. New England. Improvements. Last week, we had Josh Allen throw for 33 completions for 312 yards, which were both career highs, and he directed an offense that controlled the ball for more than 41 minutes, which is the Bills' most time that the Bills have held the football for that long since at least 2005. According to Dolphins defensive end Shaq Lawson, who was Allen's teammate on the Bills in 2018-2019, he says he has grown a lot. He looks a lot better than he was last year, 10 times better. Brian Flores said Allen is coming to his own in his first NFL season. Flores said about Josh Allen, he has made incredible growth from the time we first saw him until now from an accuracy standpoint, just an overall presence. He's got command of the offense, and his leadership at that team rallies around him. The big thing is something that needs to be stopping the run. It appears that this is the game that Dolphins won, and then it's stopping the run this year. In the opener, they couldn't actually stop the QB holding the ball. Cam Newton did one thing that kind of broke the usual mold of usually the Patriots, how the Patriots play quarterback. And that was running the football. As Cam Newton ran for 75 yards and scored 2 touchdowns, Miami gave up a league-worst 217 yards in rushing. Yet there was no fans at that game. The Dolphins still heard about the disappointing performance from their retooled offense. Their new linebacker, courtesy of the New England Patriots, Kyle Van Noy, said that we gave up 217 yards rushing, so we should get criticized. That's not good enough. Josh Allen is likely to test the Dolphins on the ground himself. He actually carried a career high 14 times last week and led the Bills with 57 yards rushing. Buffalo Bills offensive coordinator Brian Daboll didn't take long to unveil several new wrinkles following the offseason addition of their new big-name wide receiver in Stefon Diggs, and they include playing 5 receivers at once. 5 right outside. Stefon Diggs said about his new offensive coordinator, he's the mastermind, and he had a team-leading 8 catches for 86 yards, as Allen completed passes to 8 different receivers. As far as getting me involved, I'm more than thankful, but more so from a standpoint that he got everybody involved. A lot of people touched the ball. Is there a possibility of them rebounding? The Bills, the big thing is, Ryan Fitzpatrick is trying to get himself better, get back into being the right team, be the best man. Yes, Bills are all too familiar about Ryan Fitzpatrick's inconsistency in aka Fitzception, because as Ryan Fitzpatrick threw 3 interceptions, which ended up sparking up fresh round questions about Flores timetable about turning to the rookie Tua Tagovailoa, the number 5th pick in the draft. His answer is not yet. Which I think it's a thing that's going to happen because Jesus, I don't know why my nose is a little softened up a bit. The big thing is the Dolphins are actually expecting Fitzpatrick to bounce back from this bad game, which is something that he's usually done in a 16-year career. Ryan Fitzpatrick says, you don't want to have weeks like I had last week. That can happen if we're going to win games. For me and the roller coaster I've been on, I have an easy way of putting things like that behind me and moving on. Josh Allen is familiar with Fitzpatrick's long career, especially with his time in Buffalo from 2009 to 2012. They've actually hung out together at the Masters Golf Tournament this year. Interesting. Josh Allen said of Fitzpatrick, "He's fun to be around. You hear all the stories about him in Buffalo and how much joy he still has playing the game." Now, the gates. They are starting to open the gates. Because of the coronavirus this year, only one NFL stadium allowed fans to watch the action on the season's opening Sunday, which was the Jaguars. The Jaguars game against the Colts. Now, the Dolphins said they are allowing up to 13,000 people unmasked, masked, social distancing, and attend their home opener at Hard Rock Stadium. Bills aren't having fans for their first two home games at least, and last month Sean McDermott complained that there was no uniform NFL policy about allowing fans during the pandemic, but the Bills always draw well in Miami ever, and Allen figures that not all the spectators are going to be Dolphins fans, which might be true, because, let's be real, there's probably not many Dolphin fans who go to their home games as much anymore. So, let's be real, some of those Buffalo fans probably moved to Miami anyway to get out of that cold sometimes. So, there's also a possibility of that. So, Josh Allen says about those fans, "I'm sure there's going to be a good amount of Bills fans. It's going to be exciting to be back in front of people and having that experience of the energy and excitement in the building. Whatever their allegiance is, fans must cheer and boo with their masks on." That's I believe. That's what I believe. So, I think it's going to be winning this one. I say it is probably going to be the Bills. I think Josh Allen's good, and I think there's going to be a point where we're going to have a big thing. The injury report is that right now they are out. Bills have 3 of their linebackers out for this game. For Dolphins, Landon Roberts is out, and they have Devontae Parker, former U of L Cardinal, also went to my high school, Ballard High School. So, and is actually questionable with an injury, which actually, what is this injury? So we might have to look into this stuff. Let me look into this. Oh, okay, so it's hamstring injury. Alright, so, okay, hamstring injury. And Clayton Fincham is doubtful because of a pectoral injury, I believe. But I think this is going to be a Bills win, and I think they're going to take the over. They're going to go over in this one. Next, we get the 49ers in order to MetLife Stadium to take on the New York Jets. Take on the Jets. And this one is a big one. It is a big there's a big chance of them trying to get bounce back from a loss to the Arizona Cardinals after blowing a fourth quarter lead in their season opener. And this time they're facing the Jets and at MetLife Stadium. Jimmy Garoppolo, 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo said, we just got to move on, get into week 2, and get this thing rolling now. You've got to deal with the situation that you're given and control what you can control. For the 49ers, it's not about letting another lately slip their hands as they did in this 24-20 loss to Arizona on Sunday. This is also the first Super Bowl runner-up to lose a game losing the season over after Carolina fell 21-20 to Denver in 2016. San Francisco is also trying to avoid becoming the first to start 0-2 since Seattle in 2015. While the Jets looked awful in his 27-17 loss at Buffalo last Sunday, a victory at the Meadowlands might not be such a sure thing for the 49ers, who are dealing with numerous injuries on both sides of the ball. Their cornerback, Richard Sherman, is out with a calf injury. Tight end George Kittle is uncertain to play because of a knee injury, and their wide receivers Deebo Samuel with a foot injury and Brandon Ayuk with a hamstring injury didn't play in the opener. Jimmy Garoppolo says that about these injuries, we've dealt with this before. I think every team, you've got to deal with your injuries. Next man up mindset. Jets, go around the Jets. So, this is the next one. The Jets know exactly what the 49ers are dealing with. They are out without. Jets are actually not the only team that's having injuries as well. It's because Jets are without star running back Le'Veon Bell with a hamstring injury. Because of a hamstring injury, he was added on injured reserve, and our lean receiver Jamison Crowder is uncertain to play after injuring his hamstring last week. This is going to put more strain on the Jets quarterback Sam Darnold, who has actually struggled mildly in his game opener last week against the Bills with his mechanics, footwork, and decision making. He ended up finishing 21 out of 35 for 215 yards and a touchdown, but with one extra pick. But the numbers were largely padded by a strong final drive. Sam Darnold said about his performance last week, "My timing needs to be better. I think I did hurry some things. I feel like just at the beginning of the game, I've just got to relax and take a deep breath, ease myself into it, and make the throws when they are there." The next big piece about this for the Niners is the missing key piece of defense, which is Richard Sherman being on injured reserve. He was by far the most dependable part of a secondary last season for a team that allowed the fewest yards passing in more than a decade. Of course, Richard Sherman was a member of the Legion of Boom with the Seattle Seahawks. He is a great quarterback. I don't know, I can say he's the best corner in the game, but if you try some sorry receiver like, say, Mike Crabtree, those are the results you get. I don't think you want to talk about him. Bad about him. So the big thing was, in the opener, Emmanuel Mosley ended up struggling across from Sherman in the opener. There were questions about the other star with Akelo Robinson Witherspoon trying to get back from a concussion. The last few seasons that Sherman has missed, the 49ers lost all 3 of those games, allowing nearly 10 points more per game and a passer rating that is 11 points higher without him. Fred Warner, 49ers linebacker Fred Warner said, "I know guys are ready to step up. I know guys are ready, and if we put the right week of practice in like we know we should be firing on all cylinders this week." Big thing about this is Frank Gore is going to be playing with, is back. He's going to be starting with the Jets, the New York Jets. The 37-year-old Frank Gore is coming back in with the Jets, starting with Jets, and I believe, didn't Frank Gore play for the 49ers at one point? Actually, I believe that Frank Gore was drafted with the 49ers, actually. So this is actually his first time back, I believe. Yep, he was a 49er. He was drafted by the 49ers. So this is him coming back to San Francisco once again. And this time around, he's coming back to his own team. He's coming back to the team that drafted him. This time around, he is as a New York Jet. Matter of fact, the 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan remembers studying Frank Gore's college film back when he was getting a start in the NFL as a quality control coach for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2004. Frank Gore is still going 16 years later, is set to get a start for the Jets this week against the team that actually drafted him in 2005. 37-year-old Gore is the third leading rusher in NFL history. Mike Shanahan talks about Gore saying that I loved him then, I loved him every year. He runs so hard. The guys that run that hard very rarely can play to his age, which just shows how dedicated he is, how much of a football player he is, and obviously extremely talented, but he's a special dude. One of the few bright spots for the Jets in the game against the Bills was actually the play of safety Marcus May, who decided to step into the role of Jamal Adams, who played as safety for being traded this summer to Seattle. Marcus May was actually all over the field, racking up 10 tackles, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, 2 passes defended, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 quarterback hits. My goodness. That's a lot of stats. This man was making sure he was doing some work. Jets head coach Adam Gase says, talk about a guy that probably did everything imaginable at the safety position. I don't think there's many guys that could do what he did last week as far as the variety. The next part is being the featured back in this game, and that is Raheem Mostert for the 49ers. He played a big part in the 49ers run to Super Bowl last season, rushing for 773 yards and 12 TDs in his final 10 games in the regular season and points season combined. He did all that work as a backup, but he ended up making the most of his first career start in Week 1. He actually had 151 yards from scrimmage and scored on a 76-yard TD pass that showed off his improved receiving skills. 49ers coach 49ers head coach Kyle Shanahan says about Mostert that Raheem has grown in every aspect. He gets better and better the more opportunities he gets. He got a real good opportunity on that look Sunday and did what he was capable of, and that was a house call. So it was awesome. So the big one is this is a bounce back game for probably the 49ers. Jets is probably, this one might be a little closer, but it looks like the Niners are probably going to have a way of handling this, especially over a team like the Jets. I believe this is going to be a game San Francisco wins, and I think it will be it'll be a touchdown. Next. Okay, next. Let me take a second here. I need a breather. Yeah. Let me take a break real quick, because I'm going to try to do this one thing. Alright, next, we got the LA Rams coming out of SoFi Stadium and going to the Link. Take on Philly and the Eagles. So we got pretty much both the number 1 and number 2s in the 2017 NFL Draft between Jared Goff and Carson Wentz. This is the first time that So both teams end up doing 2 good things for their team. 2 good things for their team, as Carson Wentz ended up finishing third in the NFL MVP voting his sophomore season when Eagles won their first Super Bowl title, but they did it without him tearing both his knees in his only meeting against the Goff in the Rams, surprisingly. And Jared Goff led LA to a Super Bowl appearance the following season, but ended up losing to the aforementioned Evil Empire 13-3 New England. Super Bowl 53. So, these two are facing on this Sunday. Rams visit the Eagles. And Carson Wentz said about Jared Goff, he says that I have a lot of respect for him as a player and a guy, and I enjoy playing against him. The Eagles trade up twice to get the second pick, hoping to get Carson Wentz. They would have been happy with Goff, but it was known at the time he was going to the Rams. It was so both in Eagles head coach Doug Peterson said about the pick of Carson Wentz and Jared Goff. We like Goff as well, and yet looking back and kind of thinking back on some of the conversations, just felt that Carson was the fit for us here in Philadelphia. His makeup, his chemistry, the style of play kind of fit we were doing, and that's nothing against Jared Goff because he's obviously had a great career so far. It just made Carson a better fit for us at the time. It says here that Jim Plunkett and Archie Manning were picked number 1 and 2 in 1971. Plunkett lasted only 5 seasons in New England, but found success in Oakland, where he led the Raiders to Super Bowl titles in 1980 and 1983. And Archie Manning got stuck playing for the terrible Saints, New Orleans Saints, and won only 35 of his 139 career starts. Drew Bledsoe and Rick Meyer went 1 and 2 in 1993. Bledsoe won 98 games and threw for 44,611 yards. Meyer was 24 and 44 as a starter with 4 different teams. Peyton Manning and Ryan Leaf went 1 and 2 in 1998. Peyton Manning is heading to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, and Ryan Leaf is among the all-time draft busts. Tim Couch and Don McNabb went 1 and 2 in the following year. Tim Couch, of course, lasted 5 seasons, going 22 and 37, playing for, sadly, the sad Browns. And Donovan McNabb led the Eagles to several playoff appearances and a Super Bowl. 2012, Andrew Luck and Ryan Griffin III went 1 and 2. Andrew Luck had an outstanding career with the Colts before abruptly retiring because the Colts decided not to invest in an offensive line and killed his drive to play this game. Archery ended up starting his career well and then got injured a lot and is now a backup for the Ravens. And now, James Wilson and Marcus Mariota went 1 and 2 in 2015, and both are currently backups with other teams. Not the teams they are drafted. They drafted. Jameis is with the Jameis Winston is with the New Orleans Saints as a backup, and Marcus Mariota is with, I believe the Chargers, But Mariota is on injured reserve at the moment. So, not going to be seeing him anytime soon. I'm sorry if I'm... LA Rams head coach Sean McVay said about both Jared Goff and Wentz. He says both guys have done an excellent job of leading their franchises. The big thing that is going to be questioning, the big thing for that is bad for the Eagles is they are missing 3-time Pro Bowl right guard Brandon Brooks, 3-time All-Pro Bowl right tackle Lane Johnson, Nate Herbig, and rookie Jack Driscoll. Nate Herbig and rookie Jack Driscoll took their place and made their first career starts. Johnson is trending toward returning from an ankle injury this week. Herbeck will remain in the lineup for Brooks, who tore an Achilles tendon in the offseason, which is a big deal. The biggest thing about this is they are going up against a defensive line with Rams newcomer Leonard Floyd and a man who practically just touches a offensive lineman and tips him over, and you are sacked because this man, Aaron Donald, is playing on getting up in Carson Wentz's cheeks. Literally, because this man, Carson Wentz, said that Donald is a game record, which is true because this is an offensive line that allowed 8 sacks against Washington. So in the 27-17 loss, that is scary. And the Rams ended up containing Dallas' powerful offense last week in a 20-17 win under their rookie defensive coordinator Brandon Staley. So that is the big thing. For the Eagles, running back Miles Sanders is expected to return for the Eagles after missing their opener with a hamstring injury. Run game couldn't get going without Sanders, who ended up leading all rookies in scrimmage yards last season. The Eagles only had 57 yards rushing on 17 carries against Washington. During Sean McVay's tenure, the Rams have had a dominant, are practically known as the Road Warriors of the league, as they've won each of their free openers in this tenure and are gone 20-8 in road and neutral site games, including playoff games. Their dominance started a win last season when LA lost its final 2 road games, dropped to 5-4 away from Coliseum, but McVay still only lost to one road opponent with a losing record in 3 years. So in the Rams side, to replace their star running back Todd Gurley, who they paid a lot to extend him, who sadly, unfortunately, had probably arthritis in his knees, which is a crazy thing, especially for someone his age. The Rams ended up replacing Todd Gurley with 3 running backs, with veteran Malcolm Brown getting most of the workload against Dallas, running for 79 yards and 2 touchdowns. McVay winning, but Sean McVay ended up going into this game expecting to give more playing time to rookie Cam Akers, who actually started and ran for 39 yards. Sean McVay is likely to give more work to Akers and second-year pro Darrell Henderson against the Eagles, but Brown could lead the way again if he remains effective. But hey, they're going over free back. Hey, that's a nice free head running machine. That's fine. But hey, if Michael Brown is the better, is the workhorse, it might be the workhorse back. So I mean, you gotta feed that back. Feed the man. Feed the man. All I can say is you gotta feed the man. So for this one, the Eagles are a 1-point favorite in this game, which is kind of cute, but kind of stupid. I say this, the Rams are probably going to be massacred, and there's probably a chance that Wentz could probably break his leg again, because Aaron Donald is playing on serious violations of his man. So, violating this man's corpse. So, let's just say this. I'm going to give it to the Rams in this game. Rams get this one. Next, we go to Pittsburgh. We get the Denver Broncos going up against Big Ben and the Black and Gold Brigade. Going up against Big Ben and the Black and Gold Brigade, also known as the Pittsburgh Steelers. So it says here that so let's see what happens here. The big focus is Ben Roethlisberger is practically said that the pain was familiar to him. Welcome even. The best part about how his body felt after his first game after his first game in 364 days. He actually said that Ben is Roethlisberger is hopeful this saga of his extended comeback came to an end in Northern Jersey. He actually, the big thing is, he ended up tossing 3 touchdowns in that great, solid performance by him. Said Ben Roethlisberger says from here on out he expects the focus to be on football, though that may be impossible heading into this home opener. Ravering. So rather than preparing for the Broncos, looks like we got a return of the little days of our Steelers, maybe, because a portion of the week the Ben and the organization end up having to spend a good chunk of the week facing some questions about the team's unity, because starting left tackle Alejandro Villanueva, who was a former member of the military, mind you, chose to honor a fallen U.S. Army veteran on the back of his helmet. Rather than a young black Pittsburgh teenager who was killed by a white Pittsburgh police officer back in 2018, as the rest of the team decided to wear his name on the back of their helmets in New York against the Giants. This was a move that caught Roethlisberger and defensive tackle Cameron Heyward, who are both longtime captains, off guard. It ended up getting to a point that the Steelers president Art Rooney II actually had to issue a statement saying he was proud of the efforts of the players to bring awareness and changes to combat racism and social justice, while acknowledging we understand that individually we may say or do things that are not universally accepted. Now, Denver's issues are actually not as bad as compared to drama issues are not involving that type of drama. It is, and that is that the Broncos actually had a winnable game against the Titans slip up on Monday night against the Titans as the Titans drove down the field late to get a last-second field goal for Seattle to make. So there was also tangible signs, but still there was tangible signs of things to get excited about, as Denver helps gain traction and head coach Vic Fangio's second season. The Broncos quarterback Drew Lock completed 22 of 33 passes for 216 yards with a touchdown and 0 interceptions. The 24-year-old has also been proven difficult to take down, because he is that tall white quarterback John Elway has been searching for. Yet he's been sacked just 5 times in 6 first starts, and he'll need to escape Pittsburgh's fierce pass rush and do it while taking care of this ball, because Broncos actually want to extend their recent mastery over the Steelers. What I mean is, in the past 5 meetings, Denver has won 4 of them. And a list of those victorious quarterbacks include Tim Tebow and 1 Case Keenum. One big thing is that Drew Lock actually does have a good, that Drew Lock actually has one person in his corner, a Hall of Fame offensive line coach in Mike Munchak. If you don't know who that name was, Mike Munchak actually served as the offensive line coach in the same capacity for the Pittsburgh Steelers back in 2014 to 2018. Now you're asking, he was that coach for a good chunk of time. Why did he leave the Steelers? Because he decided to go join Denver because he wanted to be closer to his family. Which is a big thing. Steelers defensive lineman Cameron Heyward called Munchak the ultimate buy. It says here, Drew Lock said about the offensive line, hopefully we can prove the point that we have a great O-line while blocking these guys up to give me time back there. If that's what we do, then we're going to be a great football team. And a victory over sadly an empty Heinz Field with no Yinzers in the field could be a good starting point. So, what's the big thing here is for the debut of Jerry Jeudy was actually pretty good, as he was tying up great cornerback Malcolm Butler in knots, and actually repeatedly gained separation in the opener against the Titans. He ended up making his debut with catching 4 passes for 56 yards, but the one thing he's going to remember of his debut is a pair of costly drops, one that actually could have helped Denver run away with the win, ice the win over the Titans. Jerry Jeudy says that those 2 drops will probably help me not drop passes for the rest of this season. Jerry Jeudy, who is the 15th overall pick out of Alabama, says he was renowned as much for his good hands, but known as much for his good hands as his quick feet and crisp route running. Next we got about next big name in this game is the running back for the Steelers, Benny Snell Jr., who arrived as a 4th-round pick in 2019 from the University of Kentucky, and he came in this one with a chip on his shoulder. It says here that chip would sometimes rain at practice as a veteran defensive line. It says here Snell has been decidedly quieter entering his second season, preferring he let his pads do the talking. And those pads talk a lot of shit, as he ran for a career-high 113 yards against his Giants after his starter James Conner went down with an ankle injury. Conner is sadly uncertain right now, but Snell figures that he has earned more playing time in this game. The big thing is Vic Fangio actually admits that he actually blew it by not calling a timeout in the closing seconds, and it's actually preserved much time as possible for his young, inexperienced offense. Vic Fangio called it a one-off, so he's not planning on changing procedure ever. However, he's not planning on changing procedure. Last year, Vic Fangio had an analytics expert in his ear at the end of a game situation, but after a shakeup in that department this offseason, Vic Fangio decided to was on his own. He said his coaches can always chime in, but it's more apparent none of them did, as the Broncos saved all 3 of their timeouts to use after Tennessee went ahead with 17 seconds left in the game. Alright, so it looks like the Shaggy project for the Steelers in right tackle Zach Banner, his transition to NFL star, ended up being a massive bump because he sadly tore his ACL in his right knee in the game against the Giants, which sadly ended his season after less than 4 quarters. Oh my goodness. So now a 3rd-round pick in 2018, name of Chukwuma Okorafor. I believe I'm saying that right. A 3rd-round pick who in 2018 is going to be taking over for Banner. Ben Roethlisberger talks about Banner, saying, "We will miss him, but we also have confidence that Chucks will do the job. It was a close battle, I think, from what I heard from Coach Tomlin. We will need Chucks to step up, who has playing experience. We will expect him to do great things." Alongside, a rookie by the name of Kevin Dotson is going to be making his first NFL start at guard, with Pro Bowler David DeCastro dealing with a knee injury, and veteran Stefan Wisniewski recovering from a chest injury. So it looks like the offensive line is a little banged up there, which unfortunately for the Broncos, if they had Von Miller and Bradley Chubb, that would be something to benefit for them, but unfortunately they're gone. I sadly say that this one might be a L for this might be an L for the. I say this is going to be a W for the Steelers. They are going to walk out of that walk out. They're going to celebrate in Heinz Field with a W over the Broncos. Next, we go to Tampa Bay. We got the Carolina Panthers taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in an NFC South battle. NFC South battle as Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers expect to be better than the Carolina Panthers, the 6-time Super Bowl champion quarterback of the Patriots, ended up struggling in his debut with his new team and was called out by his coach for throwing a pick. That was for pick six, and only knows one way to move on from a rare season opening L for him. Keep working. Brady says about this, every week is a different challenge. I think it starts with great communication and understanding how to win the game, how to lose the game, being on the same page with my teammates so we can go execute. Obviously, you turn the ball over, it makes it difficult to win. It's a game of scoring points. You've got to figure out how to score more points than the other team, obviously. He also notes that the Bucs need to also eliminate penalties and other negative plays. There's been a lot of focus on those things this week. There's also been one attention from the outside following Coach Bruce Arians' blunt assessment of the quarterback's 2 turnover performance in this 34-23 season opening loss to the Saints in New Orleans. Arians ended up shrugging off the criticism of his decision to express his feelings publicly of his new quarterback, expressing his feelings about his new quarterback doing his job, of how his new quarterback was doing his job in public, saying that the relationship between him and Brady is actually fine. Arians said about it, so I don't really care what other people think, it's just what he and I think. For his part, the quarterback didn't say much. Brady said about Arians, he's a coach, I'm a player, we're just trying to win the game. Panthers are actually expecting the 43-year-old Brady to rebound and play well. First-year coach Matt Rule says, I have the utmost respect for Tom Brady, who didn't do in his Carolina debut, lost to the Las Vegas Raiders in a 34-30 matchup. Matt Rule says more about Brady. To me, you learn about quarterback when things go wrong. Some things went bad in that game, but Tom brought them back, got them within 10 points, and still had a chance to win. We know we'll have our hands full. No one's better in bouncing back from a loss than Tom Brady. Next, this is going to be Tom Brady is going to be facing a young Panthers defense, which includes 3 rookie stars, including tackle Derek Brown, defensive end Yetur Gross-Matos, and cornerback Troy Pride Jr. Carolina's defense actually struggled in Week 1 against the Raiders, allowing Derek Carr to lead 6 scoring drives in the Raiders' first 8 possessions, 3 of which ended in touchdowns. We need to do a better. Matt Rule says that we need to do a better job of tackling to his defense. Getting off the field on 3rd down was a struggle for the Panthers. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are actually quite familiar with Teddy Bridgewater. No, not necessarily the offensive system the quarterback is running this first season with the Panthers. Now, with the coronavirus pandemic forcing the cancellation of preseason games, the only type of what Carolina is doing under rule of Matt Rule and offensive coordinator Joe Brady, it was last week's season opener. And Bruce Arians was impressed with what he saw. Arians says about the team, about the Panthers, is that coach and the quarterback have history in the same offense. It's not like they're starting from scratch. Coach added that Teddy is a very, very bright guy and has very few turnovers in his history. That part of it didn't surprise me at all. Christian McCaffrey never surprises me because if he gets a crack, he's going. It all starts with him. I thought they did a good job of feeding him, and Teddy played really well. Christian McCaffrey's touches. Matt Rule said the Panthers want to get McCaffrey about 25 to 28 touches a game, which was right around the game plan last week. However, Matt Rule would also like to work in number 2 running back Mike Davis a little more against the Buccaneers. Matt Rule says because the Panthers had only 3 offensive possessions in the first half against the Raiders, it was actually difficult to do. Carolina Panthers left tackle Russell Okung said it has been a tough week for the offensive line, knowing they failed to pick up 1 yard on a fourth down run late in the game on a potential 34-3 on a potential winning drive in their loss to the Raiders. Fullback Alex Ama was stopped cold on a run up the middle, turning the ball over on downs. Russell Okung said, honestly, the game comes down to 4th and 1. We did not do enough to win the game, especially when it was on our backs. We needed more, and we've got to figure out a way to win those situations. This one is a bounce back game for the Buccaneers and for Tom Brady especially. This will be that they need both these teams need a W, and this one is actually going to be a little bit closer than I think it's going to be, because I think Teddy Bridgewater is going to keep it close, and Tom Brady is going to be a quarterback. This is going to be a great quarterback duel between the two of these teams, and I say that this is going to be a W that is going to the Buccaneers. I say it's going to go down to 1 score. I don't believe it's going to be an 8.5 point game for Tampa Bay. I say this is going to be possibly, I say a Bucs win, but I say it's going to end by a last second field goal or something. I just feel it in my gut. A second field goal or some type of Brady magic. So now that's all the 1 o'clock games of the week. I'm gonna take a quick break, guys. We'll be right back with more of the J Money Talks podcast. This is episode number 11 of the J Money Talks podcast. Don't go anywhere, folks. We'll be right back. Alright, guys, so it is. Alright, guys, we're back with episode number 11 of J Money Talks podcast. It is, and I realize it is 5 in the morning. Yeah, and I'm really tired. I need to get some sleep. I gotta get this done. I'm gonna go for the speed run for this. Big one is we got the Arizona Cardinals going up against the Washington football team. It's in Arizona. Who I think is going to be winning this one. I'm going to just choose who I think will win this one. I say this might be a game for Cardinals, but I think Washington has some. Their defense looks pretty good, especially the pass rush is something that's decent, especially with Chase Young and Ryan Kerrigan coming in looking just decimating. I think this one might be a challenge for the Cardinals, but I think the Cardinals do win this one. But it's going to be a little closer. Next, Chargers. The Chiefs take on the Chargers in LA, which is aka also known as I think, is it there? And this is the first game the Chargers play at SoFi Stadium, which is sad. Unfortunately, their first guess is practically a team that's pretty much going to be living in their heads rent-free for probably the next decade. Which means, and I think this is probably I don't think there's actually any crowd to this. So I don't think there will be a crowd, luckily enough, to see that massacre. So we're going to go with, this one, Chiefs are going to probably win this one in a slaughter. Now, this one is Ravens versus Texans. Next, it's just a feature game on CBS. The Baltimore Ravens take on the Texans. Take on the Houston Texans. The big thing is for Lamar. It is the Ravens. They are heading to Houston, take on the Texans. This one will have no fans. Unfortunately, it's an empty stadium. In Houston. Yes, unfortunately, because the Houston area is a COVID hotspot. there's no football played. J.J. Watt said that he can't remember a time when he played a game at any level without a crowd. He actually reminisced about hearing his grandfather going nuts in the stands when he played youth football in front of a small crowd. But he did add that. But he said that the lack of fans on Sunday shouldn't really impact anyone's performance. As an athlete, if you can get yourself ready and amped up to compete against another team and to compete at the highest level, then you really shouldn't be out there in the first place. The big thing is the Ravens expecting in their defense is more playing a major role with their rookie linebacker Patrick Queen, who ended up becoming a great player, leading the team in tackles at middle linebacker and adding a sack in this game. John Harbaugh said about his new rookie linebacker that he showed his explosive speed a couple times where he went and made some plays. He didn't panic at all. I felt like that was the best thing about it as a start, and he should only improve from here. I can agree there. This one, of course, they actually do have. There is a lot of weapons in this one because John Harbaugh says that the Texans can ring up points, especially in the air, especially with a quarterback like Deshaun Watson. They have 4 really good receivers who are all high-end receivers in the NFL. They have 2 excellent tight ends and 2 running backs who are excellent receivers, so they have a lot of weapons in the passing game to go with Deshaun Watson. I believe that this is a team. This is probably something I believe that the Ravens are probably going to work on stuff in the running game, which I believe will be the hard part there in terms of a running game. So the big thing will be the passing game, and that is going to be the key thing that's going to hurt. That could possibly hinder them. Especially the big thing is, do I think the Texans have a chance in this game? I say the big question is who's going to get the ball first, who's going to get second, and the big thing is not only can the Ravens stop Deshaun Watson from passing, will the Ravens stop? Will the Texans actually be able to stop Lamar Jackson from passing and controlling this game? And I think this is probably the first game with J.J. Watt in. I think this is the first time J.J. Watt is going up against Lamar. I think he didn't play in the Houston game. I'm not sure in the Ravens-Houston game. I think he was injured. I think he was out with an injury during the season around that time. But I say this is I'm not saying this because I'm a Ravens fan, but I say this: Ravens are going to win over the Texans, and I think it's going to be I say it'll be a 1-score game. I say a touchdown, but I could say a little over. Alright, the Sunday night game is between the Patriots Seahawks rematch. The rematch between which is the pre-match between Super Bowl 49. This time around, and I think unfortunately they do not. Sadly they have. Unfortunately, I don't think they actually have. I don't think they actually have a actual coach. So this is a big one. So the big thing about this whole thing is this is a rematch between the Patriots and the Seahawks. Bill Belichick actually was replaced Pete Carroll as the head coach of the Patriots 20 years ago. Neither did they know that both of them would be seeing each other again as actually a long-term scenario. Of course, we all know what happened with Carroll. Carroll went to USC, took that into a national perils, and yet ends up getting caught in a cheating scandal with Reggie Bush, and they end up ruining history and shit. And ruin history. And it took a few years and a few years later, Pete Carroll goes back to being a head coach in football with the Seahawks. And he has been with the Seahawks since 2010. And this is a team, and these two teams actually went in the Super Bowl nearly 6 years ago. And of course, we all know what happened there. We all know what happened. So the big one is, well, who is gonna make the best decision out of this? Weaver. Who I think is gonna win this one? It is gonna be an interesting thing. How it's gonna go? I say that is something that is going. It is. I say this is a. Jesus. I say this one is different because not only was it going to be in Seattle, but sadly, for the first 3 home games for the Seahawks, there's going to be no 12-man there. So this is a big one. So it's going to be a big one Sunday night. I say this one is a close one. I say Seahawks are favored by 3.5 points. I say this Seahawks are going to win, but I think it's going to be under. I think it's going to be a field goal. I say the under. Patriots going to cover it. I think they're going to find a way of covering it. That's what I think is going to be. Patriots. Oh, I say Seahawks over Patriots. But it's going to be a close game. And for Monday night, we get the Saints go marching in. Oh, the Saints go marching into Vegas because take on the Raiders in a big game. And this, unfortunately, the Vegas Canaries not gonna have games on there. Is going to be empty, which is unfortunately. Unfortunately, there will be no fans in Vegas to watch this game in this new stadium. And this is a big one. This is the first home game for the Raiders in Vegas. This is the first time. This is the past 25 seasons. They were playing in the rundown Oakland Coliseum. And unfortunately, they could not find a way to keep themselves in get a new stadium in Oakland. Keep them in Oakland, and were sadly blocked from moving to LA instead of blocked from being in LA by the league and that asshole Dean Spanos. Dan Spanos instead. And so it's here. This is a big thing. It's a big thing here. It is that. So instead, we had the Raiders had to go into the desert. We actually now, fortunately, this is the first time the owner, Las Vegas Raiders owner, Mark Davis, has pulled off something that his father, Al Davis, sadly couldn't do, and that's get the Raiders his own stadium. But he said that until fans are allowed in next season, I'm not going to any games this year. Which is good coaching said. Mark Davis is the owner of his team, and he's very passionate about our fan base. We were so excited to have our debut in front of Raiders fans here in Vegas. It's sadly disappointing. So, this is the first time that, Sean Payne and Jay Gruden and John Gruden is going to be going up against each other on opposite sidelines. First time since John Gruden left Tampa Bay after the 2008 season. Gruden was also the Eagles' offensive coordinator under Coach Ray Rhodes when Sean Payne was hired to his first NFL job as Philadelphia's quarterbacks coach in 1997. And Sean Payne actually reminisced his old times back in Philly, saying his office was basically a little corner couch in his office, and I just had a cell phone. But it was a chance to learn, really. So these two will actually end up coaching were actually coaching rival NFC South teams when Payton got his first and only head coaching job with the New Orleans Saints in 2006. And these two have met 6 times, splitting the record free. So this is a free game, free to free. Right now, this one is going to be a tiebreaker. Who gets that set? This is game 7 for both these teams, for both these coaches. And the big thing is the Raiders offensive line doing a great job protecting Derek Carr in this one, despite losing their starting right tackle Trent Brown after. So, okay, I just realized the recording is back up. Turns out that it's, so now I know is this, that the camera only does 3 hours recording and cuts out. So now we know. This is also the longest podcast on record so far. So, if you watch all this, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. So let's see here. Yeah, it says here that Payton calls John Gruden one of those coaches who does a great job staying committed to the running game. It's something that's kind of followed John wherever he's been. I've worked with John and watched his preparation, attention to detail in everything he does, and there's always going to be a presence physicality-wise running the football. John Payton added in his comments about John Gruden and his commitment to the running game. The Raiders running back Josh Jacobs ran for 93 yards and 3 touchdowns and caught 4 passes for 46 yards in the opener against the Panthers. The big thing is now, while the Saints are the first NFL team to have a road game in Las Vegas, Sean Payton said that because of this coronavirus pandemic, he doesn't even have concern himself with discussing guidelines for players in the casinos that virtually never close. Sean Payton said, noting that the teams are supposed to be in a quote-unquote hard bubble while on road trips. I don't have to make any rules. League has done it, fortunately for us. We'll be in a secure area, period. So it's not like you can just stroll down the lobby and roll some dice for an hour. So that's a big thing. The big thing here for the big thing is for Vegas is trying to contain Drew Brees in the passing game. The big thing is those Raiders struggle to generate any sort of pass rush in their opener, getting only just 1 sack and 4 QB pressures against Carolina. Free agent defensive tackle Malik Collins was supposed to bolster the interior rush, but had little impact in this Raiders debut. Carolina also did a good job neutralizing Max Crosby off the edge. Let's see how the Saints offensive line handles Max Crosby this time around. This is a big one for Monday night. I say, unfortunately for the Raiders, you're going up against a good opponent here in your debut in Vegas. I honestly say that you guys your homecoming, your grand opening is not going to look a little grand because the Saints gonna go marching in. Oh, the Saints are gonna marching in to Las Vegas and whoop your asses. Oh, the Saints are gonna go marching in. So, Saints are winning this one. I'm sorry. It's bad enough, but hey, you guys, you guys got first season in Vegas. Who knows? Maybe in the next couple of games you might have fans come in the next couple of years. But just have hope. Alright. Okay. I'm tired. I'm done. It has been over 3 hours. My goodness. And it's 5:21 morning. Jesus Christ. So I'm about to go ahead and head on out now. I'm probably gonna go ahead do what I gotta do to go to sleep to get this bad boy up for y'all. Alright guys, that's gonna do it for the end of this one. This one is a little later than expected. My apologies. I was busy Wednesday. I was gonna try and record some Thursday, but I got early in the morning. I was going to do it Friday morning, and then I slept in because I didn't have to work. And I didn't have much of an answer during the day. Went out like last night to my own accord. And, yeah, so I do this around 1:30 in the morning. Now it's almost 5:30. I've been up 4 hours in total, but this is 3 hours plus. So, once again, thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoy your guys' weekend. Enjoy the football, enjoy the basketball, enjoy the hockey. Speaking of which, Stanley Cup Finals starts this Saturday night. Tampa Bay Lightning take on the Dallas Stars in the Stanley Cup Final. Stanley Cup Final. It's gonna be an interesting series. This one is pretty much similar. Lightning pretty much are similar to like Virginia, who had an embarrassing week. Who last year had an embarrassing season, ended by getting swept by the Columbus Blue Jackets, who is a team that never won a playoff series in their franchise's history. So, yeah, it is. So this one, they stopped joking. They actually brought it back. Congratulations, Tampa Bay, in the Stanley Cup Final. Let's see if you guys can finish it and bring it home. I don't know much about hockey to give a prediction there, so I'm kind of going for a Lightning here. So that's my opinion here. All right, take care, guys. I'm going ahead, sign out. I'm probably going to get some sleep. Take care. I'll see you guys next video, and this one will be on time. Trust me. Episode 12 will be on time. Till then, take care. Peace.